birthday today. It's my birthday tomorrow, so you know.
At last.
The king's back and the throne's mine. The future's here and it's my time. Straight shot, going for the head with it. Take his head off and say that I did it. Good riddance. Say hi to the bad guy, I'm back in business. If you took what's mine, I'm back to get it. There's nothing you can do, I'm back with vengeance. Now turn me loose. Now turn me loose.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate everybody for coming on through. This is Angel's representing for the Gray Pill Podcast. Saw a few people in the chat. Inky, we have her in the back as a guest. So I appreciate it for coming on through. Brother Jumby, I appreciate. I'm taking my time with people's names because I don't want to butcher my name. And you are a guest, so that's one of the pet peeves I have. I remember faces, I remember avatars, names. I will butcher it up, but I will not forget. So thank you for coming on through. Dantezi1, I appreciate you, good sir. Thank you for coming on through. Good friend of the show, and also I'll Be That News. I see him daily over there. And Gerald, appreciate you. So, all right. So, what do we have here? One more. So, I'm going to get the welcomes out the way. Again, I appreciate everybody for coming on through. If you are new, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, especially the all, because what YouTube will do is it will unlock one of your favorites or more entertaining or just subscribers or content creators that you know and like and enjoy, just like the Gray Pill Podcast, just like I'll Be That News, just like Traveling Fools, who is also a guest over here. So make sure you hit the all bell notification. That helps out a lot. And if you come through, make sure you hit the like button too. That helps us out very, very dearly. And if the conversation is informative or just fun to listen to, share it out to family and friends. Okay, not little kids. Not little kids. So
for those that's listening out there in the YouTube universe, shout out to Great Pill Podcast. Go holler at him. Hell yeah. Give him a like and subscribe. Go view his channel, if you will. Courtesy of Classic Lights.
For all your Spanish watchers and viewers, Telemundo, Univision, Galavisión. Hola, buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches, damas y caballeros. Por favor, suscriben, gusten y por favor compartir este canal de YouTube. Cualquier parte del mundo donde están ahorita, por favor. Familia, amigos o socios de trabajo, lo que sea, por todo el mundo, por favor, suscriben al canal del Grey Pill Podcast, el Pastilla Gris, por favor. Muchas gracias.
Hey, Neve, definitely appreciate you. New subscriber and new person to chat. Don Q, appreciate you. He was never here and I never saw him. So I appreciate you, Don, for never showing up. So thank you. All right. So let's go ahead and start off with this. I saw some content of a person on a well-known podcast, and nobody really dove in deep onto interviewing this person. I don't know her personally, but I felt like I was kind of maybe biased because I followed this person on this platform before, and somebody actually took the time. I said, hey, let me interview this person. They seem like very genuine with maybe their thoughts or perspective on their lifestyle moving forward. And I said, okay, cool. She goes by the name of She's So Icy or Also Icy, or people just call her Icy, from Fresh&Fit. She is or was a former stripper in Miami. Shout out to Miami. That's another whole animal there, which to me personally, I just wish they could kind of dissect that part of, that city in the state and just move it over, because that's a whole nother world. So appreciate her being very open and somewhat transparent with the conversation. Definitely check out the guy that interviewed her by the name of Soothing Semantics. His little link is below and the little logo. So I want to make sure I give him that support there. So just to start off, so what do we think about reforming strippers, you know, or current strippers? Because last time I remember some strippers, I was like, hey, it is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and throw my dollar out. And I was very cheap back in the day, so I wasn't a big tipper with a stripping game. I'm pretty much went there, paid my beer, which was very overpriced, bought my beer, threw my dollar, and I just watch and get my little peep show, and I dip and go home. Also, there was also a story like some strippers like, hey, I'm being a stripper for a limited time because I'm using the money to take care of my kids, to get to college, to find something better and move on and not to strip again. And plus, they had a plan. So I'll leave that up to y'all for an open conversation before I share the video. Bueller.
So you're asking for opinions on?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think everyone has the capacity for change. I think we shouldn't hold people's past against them too much, depending upon what that past is. I don't think this is that egregious that it has to stay with them for the next, 40, 50 years. I think we all know those limitations. But also, is this a grift? I know there's some ladies that get into it. They're like, I'm just doing it to get through college. And they're like, you know what? I can just do this forever. And then down the road, they realize they've just utterly ruined everything about themselves. It sounds like this woman has rebranded herself. I don't follow her, but it seems like she's rebranded herself. She's put a little more business acumen into it. But I'm not sure how much she has actually changed, on a, spiritual, emotional level there.
Fair enough.
Well,
Ruby, and do you want to give like a special birthday shout out to somebody?
I do. Thank you. I was just going to say that. So y'all, for those of you who don't know, and I have to announce this first because I'm probably the most conceited and vain person you've ever met, but my birthday is in like 2.5 hours.
What a woman.
I know, the worst. Okay, so my birthday is August 2nd. That's like just a few hours away. However, right now in the chat, y'all, is my co-host Sal, and his birthday is August 1st, which is right now. So I would love if everyone would just take a quick second and message to I'll Be That News, aka Zal, in the chat room right now. He's my co-host, and it is his birthday, and he's turning way too young. I'm not even going to mention it because it makes me feel old. However, happy birthday, Zal. I could not be doing I'll Be That News without him, and all these opportunities, all this growth and whatever without him. No matter how annoying he is sometimes, he is the greatest, and he deserves a really great birthday and many, many, many more. So happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to Ruby. Definitely happy birthday to Zell. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you. As for the actual topic, I just have to say that they always talk about transforming whatever a stripper, right? And I do believe that you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, but I don't equate a stripper with a hoe. Right? So I think a whore is someone who sells sex for money, just in general. I don't think that's the same thing as a hoe. To me, a hoe is someone who doesn't want the commitment, basically wants to give away the goods. That's the way they walk through the world. That's the way they interact in the world. And they like to be used, abused, discarded, whatever it is, right? They like the power of the P and just using just that. I don't think that's the same thing as, I'm going to say, your average sex worker, right? Including strippers. I think strippers, a lot of them get into stripping. The large majority get into stripping because they are in a financial bind and they don't have a better way to make enough money quickly enough. I have a friend who had her kid at 14. So how do you make a good enough amount of money to pay for that child and yourself and housing and when you're 14 years old and minimum wage is $6-7, right? Well, you don't unless you're going to be doing something else, right? So do I think that she rehabbed herself when she eventually stopped dancing because she had other opportunities she could pursue? No, because she was never a hoe. She was never, this and she was working a job. And that's the job that she had. So I think you have to evaluate the individual person. And if they were just doing this thing that was going to make them enough money to get what they needed, I think that's a very different thing than evaluating someone who likes to get run through train after train after train on them and then be like, oh no, I want to be a wife now. I think that's different. So that's me.
And our gracious guest, Traveling Fools.
Well, can we just back up like right to the beginning when we started out and you were talking about Miami getting cut off and taken off of the state of Florida? And see now, you know, I don't know if I can stay here anymore. You're dissing on like my home city, man. This is like, come on, man, go Canes. You know, let's hear it.
Are you currently residing there now, sir?
Not at the moment, no, not at this moment, but
okay, fair enough.
But no, I mean, I agree with what everybody's. I mean, everybody's kind of said the same thing already. I kind of agree with it. But I mean, you almost have to relate that kind of thing to the same. It's kind of like OnlyFans now is more of a modern day same thing, but it seems so natural in society now. Like everybody just seems to talk about that, and you see it all over YouTube. You see it all over everything. Whereas the stripper is still taboo.
Yeah.
I mean, does that make any sense? Like,
yeah, because I was going to ask, like, why do we feel like outside society look at strippers, just frown upon them, or just label them like Ruben has separated, like they're either hoes, prostitutes? Because some that actually be in that industry, they'll take it further and like, hey, I just won't just strip, but I'll go ahead and do some extra for that strange for that change. You know, either sleep, threesomes, like whatever, some crazy stuff going on, and it actually involves with sex.
I mean, half the girls on Instagram now are, I mean, they might as well be naked, you know, and they're making money just the same. I mean, really, there's not any difference. It's just where you were able to see it then versus where you're able to see it now. Now it's mainstream.
True.
So,
fair enough. Inky, you there?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are, this is a topic that's fairly close to home for me. So, I know quite a few entertainers, and they didn't really call them strippers back then. They called them entertainers, and they worked in
girls.
No, they called them entertainers, and they worked in 5-star restaurants. They did very well. A lot of them put themselves through college. Mm-hmm. There was the few that did the extra, and pretty much anything went. But the majority of them, I can say they put themselves through college, and they were doing the right thing with their money, and they were single moms. So it wasn't as easy. Mm-hmm. They could be at the availability for their children at their need, where when you work a 9-to-5 job, you don't have that access, nor do you make that kind of money to be a single parent. So if she has moved away from that and even doing something better, congratulations to her. Because some people get stuck. They get stuck in a loop. Mm-hmm. And sorry, just one moment.
I'm fine.
They get stuck in a loop, and especially if they get on illicit substances, and it can be very detrimental to their health. But from what I've seen, a lot of girls did do the right thing. Okay. So I can't judge on that part.
Okay. Do you think it might be difficult for that person to, let's say they might did it for like a couple of years, and I meet them and I'm like, okay, well, you know, look down on them? Because I think most people, especially today, most people find it hard and difficult to find out that person either was doing it or that's part of their past. Like, how do they look past that? Because I don't want to pick at Miami, but just for me, and I'm ignorant to this, Traveling Fools, from the outside looking in, when you see like certain women, just Instagram alone, that's one perception, right? Then if you go to strip club, that might be another perception. And then like if some men might find out that they do, and like, okay, now you have a child, it's like, wow, that's like a double whammy. So I feel like those type of women have to, if they are about just being a genuine person, they kind of got to separate those two behaviors. Like we know and understand, like, you might be playing a part when you're a stripper, but if you actually come outside the life, not being a stripper, but if you're carrying yourself with the attitude and personality of the quote unquote stripper or the thought, then it's like, okay, then most women are like, well, I knew it. You are who you are. So now they're going to label everybody that. But it's kind of hard to actually, you know, kind of disconnect that, you know?
So there is multiple questions there. So with your first question is, if this was something that she did before you, Well, she needs to be upfront with you and be like, this is what I've done in my past. Now, most women that are in that industry or were in that industry carry themselves, you would never know they were in that industry. There is those few that do the extra, and those are the more wild type that you see on Instagram that, you know, they are just seeking the attention. They're not actually seeking the financial backing that it actually can bring. I mean, most really good entertainers, even to date, make at least $250,000 every 6 months.
Jeez.
And I mean, let's be real. I mean, that scent of cocoa butter and cigarette smoke does wash off.
It does. So does the glitter. Don't forget the that Victoria's Secret cotton candy spray. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what my friends told me. I don't know. You know,
that's kind of hard to turn down. How do we turn that down? Like, if I'm making that much money, that's a big temptation.
So with that being said, then if she is very upfront with you and is like, hey, this is what I used to do, just don't judge me. I mean, come on, there's some that were legal. I don't know if you can say that word on YouTube. Legal
Pros?
workers, legal workers, in the adult business. And I mean, they do well. And a lot of them don't behave or act that way in public, and they dress down. And the only problem with it is they walk around kind of numb if they are single. Like, guys will be like flirting with them and they're numb to it. So they don't even notice it. Kind of jaded.
Fair enough.
So if one does happen to catch you and say, hey, Grey Pill, like, I really like you, you know, one, she's going to bring something to the table because she knows what it's like to not be on that side of the table. And two, she's going to treat you with love and respect because she could have anything in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? So she's picking you out of a crowd and she's saying, I want you. She doesn't need you. She wants you.
Oh, fair enough. All right. We'll get straight to the video where I did some custom. So I'm going to make sure I did it right on my end. Anytime now. That's not it. Not inky. I am so gonna retire StreamYard. You just
StreamYard?
So I'm gonna retire it. I think I just had it. Did I just have it? No, multi. Okay, cool. We're good now. Okay, so this is definitely support his channel. He has great conversations who he talked to. He's pretty much like a little bit like on my end. He loves hearing other people's perspectives and how their mind frame changes from one to the other. So shout out to Soothing Semantics. I even spoke to him a little bit right after I saw this. I spoke to him a little bit in the DMs. So we pretty much had the same mindset on just wishing and hoping for the best for also Icy and her venture. So shout out to him.
On the show, real quick, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Leave your comments, good or bad. I don't care if you hate me. I'd like it if you like me, but it doesn't really make a difference. If you're looking for any real estate needs whatsoever, rent, investing, selling, buying, whatever you are looking to accomplish, I am happy to help you in the greater Miami area, Broward County, Palm Beach as well. My Instagram is Rafi the Realtor. You can reach out to me via cell as well, and email. Everything will be in the description. I look forward to assisting you. And today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, drum roll, please. We have the Fresh and Fit queen herself, ladies and gentlemen. Hi. How are you? How's it going, Pimp Daddy?
If anybody don't know, Fresh and Fit is a podcast. I pretty much am biased against them a lot of stuff they say and do, but I'm not going to hold against her. She was there multiple times as a panelist. She came on, and now she's pretty much working with Fresh and Fit podcast.
Hi everybody, I'm Chiso Icy. Y'all could go ahead and follow my Instagram, YouTube. All my links are in my bio, and y'all can go ahead and have fun with that.
Sounds good. So to give you a little introduction, Icy, or you, do you go by Icy, Ice, She's So Icy? What do people call you? Like your friends?
Icy, like everybody normally calls me Icy. My username is just She's So Icy. It's just
on Instagram, yeah. She's So Icy on Instagram, right? And this is actually her name. Her parents gave her this name. This is the gym. I don't know what it was. I don't know how they came to it, but this is her legal name.
Right.
Yeah. So how I met Icy was I was invited onto Donovan Sharp's podcast. So whoever doesn't know, Donovan Sharp is a very, very intense, interesting character.
Shout out to
Really,
Donovan.
shout out to you, Don. Really awesome dude. Really got acquainted with him recently. Had him on my podcast. Really, such a knowledgeable guy when it comes to dating. Controversial. Some may agree, some may disagree. I happen to think he speaks a lot of facts. And similar to Myron on Fresh and Fit, some of it's hard to accept. He said it in a very blunt and direct way. So Icy was on the panel that we had, and if you haven't,
Oh, sorry,
seen
I
this
was
panel, reach out to
snarking.
me, and I will gladly send you the link. So Icy works for Fresh and Fit.
Donovan made you sneeze.
Donovan being given credit made me sneeze. Yeah.
I
As
thought
being
we were
knowledgeable. Come on now. Stop.
I thought we were listening to
the
Ben
girls,
Shapiro
I want you to
interview
go
a
the
stripper
straight.
there for a minute.
I'm more or
As
less
fast
like
as he's talking.
director as well in the studio. So
That is true.
more or less helping everybody out, do the thumbnail,
Maybe she's
do the
nervous.
stories,
She's
everything
hot.
get done, and just get the
Very
content out there.
attractive.
It's really, I enjoy my
Oh,
job.
it's at 1.5. That's why.
Yeah.
Let's backtrack a little bit. We don't have to go back to your crazy childhood. People probably want to hear about it.
That's a story for another day.
I'm going to ask you some tough questions, though.
Okay.
Hope you're ready for it. Not necessarily tough, but we're going to get into it, get to know you a little. So, prior to Fresh and Fit, say the last year or two, okay, what were you up to? Because I know you did dancing. Okay, are you comfortable if we get into that? Get into that a little bit.
Yeah. I was a dancer in Miami for 6 years. But I was 7 years, but like 2 of the years I was pregnant, so like a year and a half I was off. I was back to dancing after I had my child. Bad situations happened. I had to get myself out of a tough spot. And then I just randomly got DM'd one day to come onto a podcast. And like I was watching like Dominican podcasts, like they're pretty funny. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty entertaining hearing them talk and the interactions. But I never really been on I never been on any podcast. So I was just like, okay, fuck it. If it's like that, I'll get on. I flaked the first 2 times. I was like, I don't know about going. I don't know. I should really go.
You didn't know if you wanted to put yourself out there like that, you mean?
It wasn't even, I didn't look up nothing of Fresh and Fit. Like I didn't know what I was walking into. I was going off of my actual feelings. Like, should I go? No, it's not worth me going. So the third time I went, producer Aaron, shout out to Aaron, he told me if I flake, he's not gonna invite me anymore. And I'm like, I promise I'll come. I went. I met Rolo Tomasi and Sterling my first day, which was pretty interesting. And sharing viewpoints with them in conversation was like the first turning point into like, what is this? What am I getting myself into?
A whole new world.
Like Ariel, but it was a lot of curiosity, and now I'm here.
That's okay. So that's a lot. So this was it was a mindfuck for you, I imagine. Right?
Yeah.
You probably had a certain way of thinking, a certain way of approaching things, and now you're on this show. So when you were on the first show, you were on a panel with a bunch of other girls like they usually do, right? Okay. What were some things that you heard, say, from Myron that shocked you, or maybe that you said, well, this guy's an asshole, and then maybe you eventually came around to? What were some specific things that he...
It was more or less the cheating thing, like getting to accept the fact with reality that men do these things, whether they're in love with you, whether they're like, it was just, I was really trying to figure out like which cheating is.
Hold on, I saw you nod, shake your head, Inky. So you're okay? Not saying you're okay, but she said she's accepting the fact that men cheat even though they're in love with you. Do you believe that with all men?
I think they can, and it doesn't matter what you look like at all. You could be the most amazing, most beautiful woman in the world, and there's some men out there that have edification issues, and if they don't feel that they're edified enough within that relationship, they are still going to seek it and to conquer.
What you mean by edification?
Edified?
Yeah. So some men need that edification from multiple women, even if they settle down with one.
I think you're using the wrong word.
That's the word that was used in marriage counseling. To be edified. So, for instance,
educated?
No.
No.
Edified.
Morally educated?
No, it's like fulfillment, like validation in
Yeah.
a way, right? So
Yes.
something that's like nourishing. The problem is, and I do agree with you, Inky, to an extent. I wouldn't say edifying. I still wouldn't use that word. More so, I think the problem
You mean
is
satisfied?
you're okay. It's similar. It's similar to the word satisfied. That's why it's like validation or fulfillment. But the problem is that it really has nothing to do with anyone except for that individual, right? Because that individual is trying to use more and more and more women, and those women choosing him, and those being able to get those women in bed and be a conqueror. He's using that to fill a hole that those women and all those conquests can never really fill.
That's like lust then for me. Like even if I'm the regular smuggler guy or the guy that can have all the options, wouldn't that still be like lust?
No, well, the lust is you being sexually attracted to people or driven to want to sleep with someone, right? The the thing that Inky and I are referring to has to do with it's not about lust. It's about trying to fill a hole, right? So it's
Okay.
kind of when a woman
It's an addiction.
it's kind of like when a woman, for example, will sleep with men and let herself be used as men so that way they'll cuddle with her afterwards, right? So that way she can get love in some way because she has no idea how to get a love that's actually fulfilling and will actually make her feel loved and supported and respected. So she'll let herself be used so that way at least someone will hold her for a few hours and she can pretend that she's cared about, right? So it's kind of like that, right? Men are using this conquest and their ability to sleep with, to go on the hunt. I got that woman.
Yeah.
I
The
slept with
thrill of the hunt.
the thrill of the hunt, the thrill of the chase, the thrill of getting her, right? To try to fill a hole. And because it's never going to really solve the problem, there will never be enough. So he's going to keep cheating indefinitely until he goes to therapy and takes the time to solve the underlying problem. So
Yeah, but most men,
cheat.
because I don't I don't want to quote nobody on that in the fence, but I know most men feel like they are, I guess, owed or validated to have those type of options because they are, let's say successful in status or just money wise. So would that still consider them like still feeling like a void or a hole because they're like
Yes.
they find the right one, but they're still like, hey, I'm gonna still pursue more options.
Most successful, healed, whole, self-actualized men do not risk themselves, their health, and their entire empire for a little bit of extra tail on the side. They just don't, right? They don't actually make that risk. The people that do are not healthy, whole, or self-actualized, right? They're missing something. And so again, they've been working their whole lives maybe to get into this sport or maybe to get in the CEO position or whatever. And they're thinking, well, if I get there, that's going to get me the girls and it's going to get me the cars. It's going to get me all these things. And that's going to heal the hole. But none of it heals the hole. So you're going to keep chasing it. And no one woman will ever be enough because you're not trying to build a legacy with that one woman. You're trying to fill a void. And like that's people can't fill your void for you, right? You have to actually heal that underlying pain first.
Okay. And so
and
according to Webster's dictionary, it's uplifting spiritually, and it says especially morally or spiritually uplifting.
Okay.
So it's just uplifting the guy's spirit, the man's spirit.
Okay.
So it's making him feel a type of way.
So this is a good thing?
Yes. Well, everyone needs to feel that validation.
Not to have the option to go to somewhere else. Yeah, I guess not to go somewhere else. So I definitely get it.
But do you understand what I mean? Like,
I know, I understand.
So say you're with a woman, you have a woman and and you got a promotion and she didn't acknowledge you like the way you thought you should have been, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But the chick at work is like, oh my God, that's so great. I'm so proud of you, blah, blah, blah. That's that feeling. Okay. And then you kind of like, I think I spoke about this on one of my podcasts, and then you kind of like start aiming towards that direction because you're getting those needs met.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. So I'm just going to put a pin on that one. So I guess we all agree. So you found the right one. I got you. So for me, we could agree, disagree. So we found the right woman. But if you're going outside of the right woman, because especially if you're married, because if you're married, it's supposed to be just for her, but you go outside that realm, you trying to fill up a void, which is you're really not going to fill up. So that's kind of like you're still a damage intervene for, I guess, for the most part.
Mhm.
That's what we're
That's
saying.
what I think. That's what I'm saying. I don't know about everyone else.
I'm agreeing with it. Wes.
So this is one of the bigger societal concerns. First of all, a lot of these people that are cheating because they feel a hole inside. That's an internal issue. They don't believe that they deserve to be loved. They're trying. That's an addiction like anything else. Like people that drink themselves into a stupor, or they always have a cigarette. It's an addiction like anything else. But one of the giant, moral depravities, moral issues we're dealing with is that people don't know what love is anymore. With divorce is constantly skyrocketing. A lot of children are growing up saying, well, this person doesn't love me, so I must not deserve to be loved. They grew up with those mentalities. Then we have all this garbage on the internet where people think they see two people having fun and enjoying each other. Really, it's all scripted and disgusting. Billie Eilish actually spoke out against it. She said she started watching porn at a very young age, and it really screwed her up in the head. She thought it was real.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of young people that grow up and they have early exposure to that. That causes a damage that they can't quite undo. And they're going out there. There's a lot of people that are genuinely going out there seeking love, not having any clue what it is because they haven't really felt what love is, nor have they felt internally what it is to love themselves. So they think, what they see on the screen and love are the same thing. So they're going out and just, doing their best to get laid and doing their best to get in bed with someone, thinking that, well, this is how I find love. And then down the road, everything just keeps falling apart because they're like, I don't understand why it keeps falling apart. I mean, we were so good in the bedroom. Well, there's nothing else going on there. You have not engaged on any other levels.
Fair enough.
There's also those that don't like the actual feeling of love. They like the feeling of infatuation.
Yeah, that's a big difference. I don't think a lot of people can kind of dissect that because even in high school, I heard a chick say, like, everybody was dropping a love bomb in high school on traveling, like just to get close to that chick. And then one chick, she tells me, she's like, "You're not in love with me. You just infatuated me." I was like, and that stopped me right there to start thinking and dwelling on that word. And so I slowly start learning. All right.
So
go ahead.
To a child, your God are your parents. Everything that you learn for the first time, you learn from them, which is including what love is. For right or for wrong, how we define love is how we feel like we've been acknowledged by our parents, how we feel that love is to us. So I had an issue growing up where in my household there wasn't kind words said. So as I was growing up, I had a hard time interacting with other people because I couldn't say kind things to them. In fact, I irritated a lot of people, not realizing or understanding it, because I would say some, trying to be funny, I would say meaner things than what I should have. But I could not grasp it because my understanding of how to compliment someone was very negative.
Fair enough. Any final thoughts before I move on to the video?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. So I 100% agree with you there, Wes. And the problem is, right, and I say it a lot in almost every discussion we seem to have, right, unconditional positive regard, right? The most healthy, functional, self-actualized adults who never go through any of these issues tend to have had unconditional positive regard from their parents. They were born and raised with it. And arming your children in the first 5 to 9 years of their life with never-ending unconditional positive regard. That is to say, not that everything they do is correct, right? That they are good people, right? Maybe this behavior was bad, right? Maybe this choice was wrong, right? But they are good people. They are worthy of love. They are worthy of. And a lot of parents make the mistake of saying, "You're a bad boy, you're a bad girl," instead of saying something like, "You made a mistake. That behavior was wrong. You're a good boy though, or you're a good girl." And so right there, you're already setting up complexes with these kids that, again, they show up in so many different ways. There's so much trauma that parents inadvertently cause to their kids. And that's just like when they're trying to be good parents, never mind when they don't know how to be good parents. And I think that's what you tend to hear in the stories of people who are, philanderers, right? Or people with daddy issues or whatever, right? Is they lack that, right? There was no stability, there was no security, there was no unconditional positive regard, and there was nobody to teach them that, hey, what you're getting over here is incorrect. Let me give you something better. And hey, let me help you with all those feelings that you're feeling inside that feel really, really bad. And so oftentimes kids just try to figure it out themselves or go to their friends who also don't know much. And then that's why you get all these really messed up kind of coping mechanisms and, messed up ways that people interact with the world and other people, because again, there's healing to be done. So that's why I was saying, like, until a philanderer heals, goes to therapy and really heals the underlying problems, they're going to keep doing it, because whether you see it like a drug or you see it like a coping mechanism or a defense mechanism or whatever it is, they're going to keep doing it every time they feel pain, every time they feel stress, every time they feel lonely, every time they feel inadequate, whatever it is, until someone helps them relieve all of those feelings and then develop new, healthier coping mechanisms.
All right, fair enough. Travis, you have excuse me, final thoughts before we go straight to the video?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can kind of see it as well too, as being not just an emotional thing as well, but I mean, it causes a vicious like cycle, because as far as the physical aspect goes too, these younger people these days, they're seeing these things at a lot younger age than say we were. They're on the internet now with their phone in their hand, and they can go bing, 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 and they're on the P-Hub thing, and they're seeing this stuff that, I mean, we were, in sixth grade and somebody stole a Playboy from their dad's closet, and that was, all you knew. Now they're sitting there watching, I don't even want to say the word, but you know what I mean? The expectations in the bar is already set so high for them that the amount of, that's their expectation on what this is going to be. And Lord knows that to get anywhere near that, it's going to take a lot of practice. You know what I mean? So like, how long until they're actually mentally satisfied with that? And it's messing with their emotions as well.
Yeah, they don't have no real calibration on life. So I definitely.
So it causes this cycle that just keeps going and going. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Shout out to you. Somebody said, now that radio voice. Somebody liked the radio voice. I appreciate you, New York.
It's the actual healthy cheating. Like, which one does not make me feel like the side bitch? Like, it was so many in questions that it's like, it's just so much of how a man will treat you that you could notice what part of the relationship you're in. So through time, learning these things, I kind of got to like build up game into knowing into which category zone I'm in with any guy that I choose to involve myself with, So it's kind of like, at first that was hard to catch on. I used to be all about spiritual energy and all this other stuff, and it's kind of like I calmed all my entitlements down and living in like my world, and I kind of tapped into reality. And so more now I accept everything he says. Everything he says is not so much like a culture shock. It's more or less like how you were saying earlier in the car, that it's just like, you listen to them and it's like these things, but it's a reassuring type of thing. Like, okay, no, I was living wrong. This is how I'm supposed to live, type of deal.
I want to say this because I hear women say this a lot, especially shout out to Just Jay, because she currently echo it all the time. And it's not annoying, but I hear a lot with a lot of women. They say we feed off energy, we sense energy. There's a vibe out there. So when I hear that from women, I hear like a third eye. You know what I'm saying? Like women's intuition. So I this is just me giving my 2 cents on what she just said. I don't think nobody should ever cut that off, especially as a woman, because if you have an intuition about yourself that gives you like an extra insight or awareness of other people's negative or toxic behaviors, I think that'll help you out navigate a little bit more. So that just my little 10 cents on that one. Never cut that part of you off. Now, if you want to change yourself up, like maybe personality, but if you're saying energy and all that, like never cut that off. What say ye before I get to the video? Do we agree, disagree?
Well, I will say I definitely agree. And I'll add to that. There's a reason why women say that, they have no problem submitting to a man who's a leader, who understands that
Oh,
there's a
that's
difference
the
between
mission.
command. No, there's a difference between command versus demand, and a man who's, I'll explain to you how this connects, because it does 100%,
Right.
right? Women are so hypersensitive to energies and emotions, right? And they're reactive to them. So a man who is a leader, often a leader who understands what leadership is about, right? And who understands the difference between command versus demand, understands that one of the things he does is set the tone. Okay. She might be upset. She might try to bring it up to 11. She might try to do something out of pocket. Right. But he's going to set the tone, and he's going to stay in his frame. He's going to stay calm. He's going to continue addressing her in a respectful way, not letting her just get away with the way she's disrespecting him, but he's going to hold it together. Right. And she's going to fall back and fall under his leadership. Right. She will do this. This is an automatic thing. Women don't like it, but it's true. It's an automatic thing because we are so sensitive to the energies around us. Right. And so that's like, if you meet a woman where she got up to 11, you decide to meet her there, guess what she's going to do? She's now going up to 13. Right? Because you've told her that you basically put her in the leadership position, and she's feeling out of control. So you've decided you're out of control with her. So now she's going to go up to 13 because you being out of control with her is just making her feel more out of control. So the way that I see that is like, yeah, no, women need to recognize these things, because you need to recognize someone who has a calming, peaceful kind of effect on your presence, on your reactions, someone who can see you for what you really are, and to help you check yourself in whatever. That is a good influence, whether it's friend, family, a man, whatever it is. That's the type of person you need to be around, right? Because it doesn't matter who it is. I don't care how chill the woman is, and under the leadership of the wrong man, she's going to be wilding out, acting up, this and that, right? And so, if you want to be peace, you've often got to be led by someone who already has peace. So
yeah, but this former stripper says she cut it off, like she snipped that cord, like there's no more third eye no more. Your thoughts?
I mean, did she really cut it off? I mean,
exactly.
I don't think so, but she said she claims she did, so I don't think so.
I mean, she doesn't exactly sound like they hired her for her dialogue.
Exactly.
I mean, she's
Thank
like,
you.
and yeah, and then like, yeah, and then yeah. I don't know.
So she's claiming she cut off her spirituality.
Yeah. I mean, she can kind of incite it there, but shout out to Traveling Fools for the petty. I can smell it a mile away. All right, let's get back to the video.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, in terms of touching up on the whole cheating thing, I mean, Myron always says, and this is a very accurate statement, the further up you go in the social ladder, if you're a woman, most women are going to be looking at, idealistically, the top 10, top 5, top 1% of men.
Right.
And some women may choose a guy in the top 40%. They might say, I don't want to deal with the infidelity. This may not be my ideal guy looks wise. I probably would prefer a guy who's wealthier, but I know how things turn out. At the end of the day, everything has a risk. And the saddest reality is so many guys that don't make much money, that aren't good looking, that aren't the best potential partner, even a lot of them will cheat, which sucks. Mm-hmm. So I think that watching a bunch of these episodes, you see, unfortunately, that there's a lot of a misunderstanding from the female's perspective on like how these things turn out.
Because we don't choose to understand men or get to understand our men. We get with people and we expect them to do of these things. Like, you're supposed to take care of me. You're supposed to make sure I'm good. You're supposed to, like, even to the point, buy me food and all the extra perks that it's like, did you deserve that though? And it's like a lot of women don't deserve these things because they feel like it's just given to them naturally off of the rip.
Right. No, because there are a lot of guys that do that.
Do we agree or disagree with that statement? Because I think that's like open for.
I don't quite catch what she was saying there. Like,
was she saying that like we already expect that, or they don't feel that they are worthy of that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what she said either.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what she said. I'm not sure she's 100% sure with what she's saying.
Yeah, because he kind of brought the options of, like, I guess the top earner got the more options, but we pretty much between you and Inky pretty much nipped it in the bud. Like, it's, you know, most men that actually pursue more women, even though you pretty much found the right one, it's like you're pursuing more than one woman to fill a hole. Like, we're not perfect, you know what I'm saying? I can never be a woman's everything. I can't be your best friend. I can't be your concierge. I can't be the pastor. I can't be everything you want. But you have to understand, like, especially if we're going into a exclusive relationship, and I'm saying my rules is one-on-one, not 1, 2, 3, 4. You got to either accept that and understand it, or just got to move on. And I think that's a problem with both men and women.
But I think, I don't know, because the way that she was speaking, like, she was saying that, you know, oh, girl, you need to realize you don't deserve this or you don't deserve that. And I disagree in general. A lot of the things that women, and I'm going to say honestly, men as well, come to the table of saying that they think they deserve from someone else that they're not getting are pretty reasonable things, right? You deserve to be treated with respect. You deserve to be told the truth. And then not have that trust violated. You deserve, like, do people deserve that in general? I think that people do generally deserve those types of things. Now, does it mean that they are fulfilling their end of the bargain? No, I'm not saying that they are, right? But if they're not fulfilling their end of the bargain, it doesn't make it okay for the other person to now meet them in the muck, right? Again, I think that this is a common misperception that people have. I treat everyone at 100%. I give my all 100%, whatever. That's how I treat everybody. And I expect nothing in return for me behaving at 100%, because I behave at 100% out of respect for myself, not because, well, tit for tat. No. I'm not going to disrespect myself by functioning at anywhere less than 100%. However, if I keep giving you my 100% and I realize that you keep giving me literally less than your 100%, right? I'm going to remove myself from that situation. I'm not going to sit there and demand you give me something else because I deserve this and that. No. People who know that they deserve better will give you the opportunity to try to meet them where they are. And if you can't, they're going to leave because they know they deserve better, right? And they will leave themselves open for someone who's going to meet them at 100%. So I think it's a little different. Like, I feel like she's still at that level where she thinks it's about, well, someone picked you and, well, okay, I guess now let's see what that relationship's about. And hopefully they'll give you something that you want. But if not, I mean, you don't deserve it anyway, because no one deserves anything in life. And I don't know, like, I feel like she's coming from a place of lesser than, instead of in a, you know, fully, you know, realized place.
Okay. Traveling Fools, your thoughts? We'll let you go, Inky, after.
No, I actually love what Ruby just said.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you.
I mean, just being honest, I think that's kind of you should meet people right at the same plane. And if, you know, they're not, exactly what you said. I like the way you worded that. That sounded, I agree with you. So I'm what she said.
Yeah.
Thank you. When you're older and wiser. Okay, sorry. Go
Bruh.
ahead.
Birthday girl here, everybody. Birthday
I
girl.
know, right? Sorry.
Inky, Wes, your thoughts?
Go ahead, Wes.
I was going to say Don Teasy in the chat came up with a good point.
All right, Don Teasy says, let's read that out. I appreciate you.
I guess she's trying to say that most women these days aren't trying to understand men and come with the expectation that men provide everything without thinking whether it's deserved.
I agree with that. I agree with that. All right, fair enough.
That does sound more like maybe what she was trying to say. I don't know if I'm trying to read into her statements too much, but that one kind of pops out at me there.
But see, like, why is that wrong? If I believe that a man's supposed to provide everything for me, and I'm a kept woman, everyone knows this, I'm very proud of it, right? Then as long as I'm also doing what I'm supposed to do, right? Then why do I not deserve for my man to take care of me and provide everything, right? I'm providing.
What's wrong with that?
Do you know what I mean? So I don't understand why it would necessarily be wrong.
I don't have no one's expressing a problem with that.
Yeah, we're agreeing. We're kind of agreeing with Don Tezzi.
And I wanted to second.
Sorry, I wanted to say that earlier. Don Teasy.
Don Teasy. I'm writing it down, Don. I got you. Go ahead, Inky.
And I wanted to second that on Wes. And what I wrote down was she may still have that stripper mentality.
That's where I was sensing too.
Maybe it's
Because
don't easy one.
But I thought that's kind of I thought that's kind of what Ruby was saying as well. That when she was saying
Yeah.
that, you know, she kind of is coming from down here looking up
Yeah.
at something when you're coming from the bottom, you know, trying to move up rather than just being at 100% already. You know, like she's trying to find something that she's never had
Yes.
and find, because I would say most of the time, most strippers and, you know, people in that profession are insecure and come from a place of insecurity and things like that. And that's why they're going to that, because they have no confidence in themselves mentally or in any physically, mentally, anything. So they're using the one thing that they think they can use,
Yeah.
which is kind of sad, you know. And I mean, I'm not saying I've never been to one. I didn't cry while I was there. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, boo hoo, you poor girl. That's throwing, yeah, exactly. It's, but I kind of agree, like with what she was saying. They're trying to go up, and it's somebody who's already at the top doesn't look down like that.
Yeah,
They're
but
trying to be the best they can be.
yeah, but
Right.
at the same time, you still should have the, like I said, the confidence and lack of insecurity. But like, you know what? I think it come with yourself. Like, I still love me, because I can see a lot of people that I'm coming up. Never been a stripper, but I know there's people that's like either make more than me, more successful than me, and we have great conversation. We're like the best pals, whatever. Which actually, I feel insulted on a in a sense of and I would just speak on platforms, right? I don't have all these extra degrees, but if I feel like I'm the smartest person in the room, I feel like something's wrong here. I really feel like something's wrong here. If we got the PhDs and all the degrees, and we got with the business people, and then but you're saying the most crazy, wackiest stuff, I'm like, yeah, I think I need to move on and find another group of inner circles. So
Well, there's a big difference between being educated and being intelligent as well. So a lot of degrees being thrown at you doesn't necessarily make you smart.
oh, no titles neither. What Trevor? No titles. Can't have these
No.
titles. Okay, all right.
I mean, they're not going to hurt in some situations, but just because you have a, you know, degree in something doesn't make you smart or intelligent. It can make you educated, but educated in what?
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
those terms are not synonymous at all. Some of the smartest people in the world, like literally, are the ones who never even got a high school diploma or you know, never went to post-secondary. You know, probably some of them never even worked like a real job, right? Because, you know, the world and education system is not about your level of intelligence. It's about you following orders, right? You have to, you know, read this book, write this test. You have to test well, right? You have to be
Stand in
willing to
line.
comply. Yeah, exactly. And if you're not great at complying and you're not really great at testing, well, then you're not going to do well in the education system. So you're not going to have all the fancy degrees and whatever, but you might be brilliant. So yeah, I agree.
Fair enough. Fair
Can I
enough.
come? Can I come?
Sure, go ahead, Inky.
I would say 95% of entertainers are not insecure.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down. We got to unpack that later.
Yeah.
You said 95%.
I would say 95%.
What about insecure? Okay, yeah, we'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll come
definitely want to touch back on that one.
back.
That. And then that kind of ties into the whole, like, is the guy looking to date you, or is he just looking for something?
Right.
else? And that's a big component. So, okay, so being on the show, you've obviously learned some things. This was a big one. What's it like? And I have a bunch of other, like, I guess more personal questions, but what's it like experiencing the girls who get kicked off? Do you feel like they're at some point understanding, or let me rephrase the question. Do you feel like the other women on the panel who stay on, do they agree with Myron's side of it? Are they neutral? Like, how do you feel about it? Because there's a lot.
Majority of the times it just depends on the topic. A lot of the time, like, girls get in their feelings when it comes down to topics over grape, and you know, like, certain areas that it's just they just can't agree with. But how I personally deal with them, it's like no matter how the conversation went or how it goes, I'm not gonna match your energy. So like if you're like high rising, like raging, I'm gonna like be calm. From the beginning, I already set like my tone, so it's kind of like everybody respects me. So it's like once I speak to them, hey babe, look, here's your purse, here's your phone. I'm sorry that happened to you. Look, come over here, come get your shoes. All right, yeah, I get it. It's hey, it happens. All right, you done putting on your shoes? All right, let's go, get out. It's not. I don't try to sit up there and like, no, bitch, you're fucking wrong, and starts arguing. Like, why do I need to argue with you? You already made yourself look stupid on camera. You gave Byron what he wanted, the
Right.
content. You gave him the content.
He
So
says that. Yeah, that's what he says. He says like you're just doing me.
Yeah, I just want to chime in this on a content creator stance on that one. That I say this a lot to all the people: how you conduct yourself. If you are the Inky of the worlds and Rubies of the worlds, and from the outside of the social media, and you come onto a any platform, I don't care if it's 1K subscriber, 1,000K subscribers, 1,000,000K subscribers. Shout out to their success on that end. If you are that same person from the outside and you come onto that, you still got to conduct yourself the same way. Because what happens is, like she said before, it's going to be content. You're going to be used. You're going to be exploited in a way. Not saying that they made their intentions like, hey, I got Inky. Let me go ahead and make her look crazy and dumb. But guess what? Somebody, and always, because I give an example like I did a review or of an interview. I thought it was a debate or whatever, and people want to clarify. Like, you can't, if you already had the conversation, everybody got their own perspective of that conversation at hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, example, like this one right here. We're having a conversation. We're not being judgy on the matter, but everybody got their own perspective of it. So if you're on platforms and you're saying and doing, or the optics, everybody outside looking in is going to view you totally different. So if you are the, again, example of Inky, example of Ruby, again, happy birthday to her. If you conduct yourself a certain way, trust me, they're going to see it and you're good. You don't have to over explain or go this extra mile, because once you get that camera or from a drop down from the media world, you back in real life, people are going to just think what they think. So I say be respectful, be polite as best you can. And shout out to Angry said, conduct yourself appropriately. Exactly, Angry. Conduct yourself appropriately. So I'll continue from there.
A favor, you're helping the algorithm.
So at the end of the day, it's like,
see, look at her. She got the Coke can turned around. Very respectful. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Right, but it's
welcome.
good that you handle it calmly. That's the best way to do it. Because if you started getting as angry as she was,
I used to.
You used to do that,
but it's not like they used to try. Like, thank God nobody has tried to try me back. But it's to a certain point that I don't always have to sit here and be rah with you. Like, no, not that kiss.
You're trying to be nicey icy, as they say.
Right,
Fair
super
enough.
nice. I'm trying to be nice. Trying to be nice.
That's good. That is good. So you were dancing. You switched to the Fresh and Fit game. Totally made a completely different switch. What was it like with your with the people you were around? Because did the girls you were friends with in that circle, did they understand what Fresh and Fit was? Like, did you lose a lot of friends merging into that?
My friends thought that they were very misogynistic with their tone and the things that they do. My friends don't agree with it, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like it's been working out for me. My best friend, she tries to sit there and tell me, get a real job, get a real job. And I'm just like, I like my job though. Like I feel like it's not even, let me get my words together. It's like I'm meant to play my role in this part. Like, I randomly got here, now I'm here, and it's like it's been getting better ever since. It's not like I genuinely feel the self-improvement. You don't have to feel that. You know what I'm saying? I finally reached a point where I'm like stable with my life and I'm not all over the place. So now that I'm not all over the place, I guess it's not happy for others because misery likes company. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like I'm in my own world and I'm.
I kind of agree with that part. As per, again, loving yourself. Don't really put two shakes of a rat's behind about what other people think of you. And I from this point, I feel like she went from like we said earlier, from the bottom coming up. I feel like she went from ejecting herself or found a way of coming from a bad situation, moving up to a more positive situation. But at the same time, like, and this is the thought when I first saw this. So you've been in this position where you're at now, and you feel, let's say, hey, I'm feeling better about myself. So what is the goals and the plans moving forward? Like, is this something you're going to do long term, or something you're going to expand upon? Like maybe make your own business? Because just for the podcast world out there, again, it's great to have the numbers and anything else, but you're still working under somebody. I think Travis said before, the end line and control part. So is this going to be a consistent thing, or it's going to be like, hey, let me find a next stage of my life? Because mind you, she has a child. Wes, because I saw you little.
Well, I was just running it through in my head, and it is getting late for me, so I run through things slower. It's interesting. She seems like she is on her own journey there. She's finding peace and just wanting to stick with it. So it seems like there's some sort of conscious evolution behind there. Still, though, I'm not sure what she's actually bringing to Fresh and Fit. She's not actually saying a whole lot that's bringing to her conversation in this interview, but I'm also not sensing a lot of I'm not sensing the same like levels of toxicity and delusion that we usually see from women like this when they go on a platform.
Correct. Just to add content or just answer a question. She's pretty much what she said earlier, what she do, but also I have to give her credit for what she add to the podcast. She is a promoter, because before in the past, there used to be one guy that was supposed to be the guy that brings the girls and social. She was a promoter. I remember a time that I actually reached out to her to help promote somebody else on another platform, but she has stated before, and this just was a one-on-one conversation between me and her, like she was learning this quote-unquote gig to be more professional in it. So I guess you could say she's a promoter of Miami. So she does that a lot, which I've seen her Instagram, her TikTok, and anything else. So that's the main thing she do, along with what else she said earlier. Anybody have any thoughts before I go? Inky, Foos? I think Inky looking. Okay, there you go, Inky.
Okay. Can I pass?
Sure.
On this one.
Okay.
Okay.
She's busy writing all her notes on us.
Yeah.
I feel like Ashley has
a whole
right
case
now.
study over there. Like, I don't know about this planet pill guy.
Well, so coming from her perspective, she's bringing her knowledge of how, as an entertainer, she has learned to be a chameleon and talk with a multitude of people, be convincing. This question or this statement is going to go back to Traveler and how do I explain this? He mentioned insecure. So,
can I clarify something with that real quick?
Wait. Let me get the thought out. Okay.
Thought.
So the reason I say they're not is because women of this stature, you have to imagine she is able to convince you to spend $20 for 3 minutes of your time. Okay. So she's not insecure with herself. Someone posted in chat, their main insecurity is financial security. Amen.
Okay, so how are you defining insecurity?
Hold on, Rebecca.
That's what I was about to.
Hold on. Somebody also said she'll be back on the poll in 18 months. So, I mean, everybody got their thoughts on it. But go ahead.
Exactly. If it's not productive for her financially, she would.
Well, see, here's what I was going to say when clarify insecurity, because I mean, everybody has different insecurities. And when I said insecure, in my mind, I obviously wasn't thinking, I mean, yeah, sure, you go to some of these places, I'm sure they are insecure, and you do have the ones that look better than the others. So yes, this one's going to be insecure because this one looks better. But most of them that I've known, and I actually dated a few years ago and knew bunch of people who were in that circle of a long time ago.
When you had the money to support it.
Damn.
Got him.
Oh, no, actually, it wasn't really like that. But they all had insecurity issues that were more mental and more, it seemed like, family-based insecurities and things from their past that made them insecure about having like normal relationships with people, not just necessarily intimate relationships, but like they seemed like they all had these weird, like even making friends with each other or making friends with.
I can't agree.
I mean, I'm just speaking from the ones that the ones that I knew. That just seemed how they were. They were. It seemed like a lot of them had some, previous family issues and things like that that made them insecure, or they weren't the smartest spoon in the drawer, which made them insecure, or they weren't there was various different things, but every one of them seemed to have some sort of insecurity. Everybody has.
Yeah, or adopted and they have no family members or real guardians in life to help them support. So it was. I get it. I definitely get it.
And not necessarily that they weren't confident in their sexuality or their looks or their ability to walk up to any guy that walks in and be like, "Hey, give me $20," because that's why the guy's there. I mean, it's not that hard. The guy ain't going there saying, "Hey, I'm here to make money. I'm not going to spend." You go in there knowing you're going to.
Good luck with me, Trevor, because I was the cheapest mofo around in the strip club. It was $1 bill, and I was off to the next.
Well, see,
but you know what I'm saying, though.
No, I get you. I'm just saying, just mess around. Yeah,
that's why I would ask Inky, though, to define what she means by insecurity, because I feel like you might be using the term insecurity to mean something that I wouldn't use it to mean or to solely mean. So how do you define insecurity in this context?
Me?
Yes.
Okay. So as far as like financial stability, so in the entertainment industry, it's kind of like owning your own business. Matter of fact, you are owning your own business. You don't work for anyone else. You pay someone to work there, and you are an independent contractor. So technically you own your own business. So insecure would be like if you own your own business, and for instance, when we just went through the vid, people lost a lot of income. And so the income is not consistent. Like when you work for someone else, you get paid a certain amount, it's stable, you're going to get that check. Like for instance, like military, you're going to get your check on the 1st and the 15th, period, zip zilch not. Like it's just straight out on the board. When you work for someone and you're on a contract, it's a little more unstable when you do like government contracting, right? So as being an entertainer or even a business owner, you have to look at it that way. Like it's not stable. It's not consistent. Sometimes you make, $5,000 a night. Sometimes you make like $50. And you're dependent upon the gentlemen that come in and what they're willing to offer. So as far as insecure, I would say their only insecurity would be, there is cases where women go in broken. Like it was stated earlier, there's, mental issues and whatnot, where they've come in and they need that security. They need to be able to dominate and control. And they do get that for that 3 minutes. They have now dominated that male, which makes them feel more secure. But when they step out into the real world, it's not like that anymore. So when you asked, what is she bringing to this podcast, my statement was, she's knowledgeable of how men work. She's able to be a chameleon. She's able to communicate with other people and convince them in a type of way to do what she's wanting them to do. That was one. And then for her to be able to settle down and not travel anymore. If you're an entertainer, then most likely you're working a circuit where you're traveling all over the US and sometimes out of the country. So now she's able to have a stable income where she's getting paid by someone and she's not having to travel and do that riffraff, where her friends that might still be in the industry, they're like, dude, why can't we go out? Because she's dedicated to something now. She's more grounded.
Okay. Yeah. So I totally hear you. I don't think I 100% disagree with everything you said. In fact, I think until we get to literally just like the definition of, well, I think they're the only insecurity would be on a financial basis. Whereas I would wholly disagree. I think by and large, actually, if you just look at how and when and why most people got into these industries to begin with, there's normally a lot of insecurity that has been built up until that point in time, right? And so financial insecurity and financial need, financial desperation, oftentimes is the thing that might drive them into, dancing or into, some other type of sex work. But in general, there's a lot of insecurity that was there. Again, I'm going to give an anecdotal example just because one of the most confident people I had ever met is a friend of mine. Super, like I thought she was probably, if I had never gotten to know that woman personally, I would have thought she was the most confident person on earth about everything. Just the way she was, the way she held herself, carried herself, walked around, spoke to people. And the thing is, she's like that popular kind of girl that like the world just like worshipped her. Men, women, everybody. She has like peons still to this day who just want to follow her around. She's amazing. But that hadn't, and she was a dancer, and her skill in those two areas had nothing to do with the fact that she was an incredibly insecure person otherwise, right? So, for example, she didn't believe in herself at all, like at all. She thought she was stupid. She thought she was very, very stupid. She couldn't even do long division, couldn't do math, couldn't do science. She basically dropped out at the 9th grade, never went back to school. That was beyond her. And every plan that she made for several years that I knew her was all about some type of hustle, like low-key illegal, right? Because she didn't believe in herself, right? Because she thought she was stupid. She thought she would never amount to anything. She thought she was too low to be able to do certain types of things, right?
Really? I had an uncle. He didn't know. This is a crazy story. I was told a story coming up. My uncle didn't know how to really write and read that well. He didn't know how to tie his shoe. He actually left at the age of 14. And then he started a lawnmower business and started building from there. Own house, own land, even the little stuff on the side. My mom actually kept all the paperwork on him. So when he passed, she was the go-to to get all his financial stuff for it. So, but when he came up from that level, he had the biggest confidence ever.
Well, no, and that's why I'm using this particular friend as an example. Because she became one of my best friends, and I've told stories about her on this podcast. So I told y'all when she had to go back to dancing for a bit, and I used to drive her to work and then sit outside and wait for her. And sometimes she'd have to come back for breaks and whatever. Again, insecurities popping back up and whatever. But in the time I knew her, it's been about 15 years now, right? First of all, I taught her long division, which then proved to her that she could at least learn long division. And then I taught her all math. And then suddenly I was her tutor as she was going to college, which is like community college for y'all, right? And now she has gotten her nursing degree, right? So, and she's literally done her placement, and now she's actually working as a nurse. Now that's something, when I met her, she's like, oh, I've always been into that kind of stuff, but like, that's not for me. I can't do that. And you could see the insecurity in the way she would do certain things, right? The way she was really reactive to certain types of insults or whatever, right? But she carried herself like the most confident person in the world, right? It's only knowing her really deeply and having conversations with her that I would know how insecure she felt and how lowly she felt about herself in her future, right? Whereas now she doesn't behave that way. She doesn't feel the need to be reactive towards everyone because she believes in herself now, right? And she believes in her own capabilities, and she's not just a stripper or whatever it is, right? That people used to say about her. She's elevated herself above, and she believes in herself. And so my point in saying that is that the fact that these women are gorgeous, and they know they're gorgeous, and they know they have that power, and they might carry themselves like they're king shit, it doesn't mean that they're not insecure. I just want to say that.
Okay. Any other thoughts before we go to the video? Bueller. Okay, cool. Going to the video.
I'm happy that everything's working accordingly how it's supposed to.
Boo!
3, 2.
I was just about to start dancing on that pole.
Again, I appreciate everybody. I'm not paying for this. I'm just get that career going. Get that career going. Again, I appreciate everybody for coming on through. Definitely appreciate Can I Do Podcast and Angry for insight with the conversation. Thanks.
I just feel like I fit.
Right. You feel like you're not trying to fit a round peg into a square hole. Like things are making sense.
Right.
You came into something randomly and now it's merging together and it makes sense.
Right.
So what are things that you agree with? And I'm sure there's a million things, but let's say 3 things that you fundamentally agree with that maybe you didn't. And then I'll ask you what you maybe don't agree with.
Well, I always agreed with the guys, the friend zone thing, like how girls are always friend zoning guys. Like and the guys for sure they want to fuck, but in a sense it's kind of like I don't believe in male friends due to that. I've kind of knew that since like I'll say 6th to 7th grade. I kind of saw it on
That's
a face.
early. Wow.
Yeah, I saw
That's
it on
early.
like a Facebook post, and then like somebody said, if you asked your boy best friend if they was to fuck you and you're drunk right now, what would they do? In a hypothetical sense. And I sent that message to one of my old best friends. And I was like, would you? And he was like, if I had the opportunity to, yeah. And it was like, oh, so you're not really my friend. So that's
well, I am, but well.
no, you just want.
I'm sorry. I have to disagree with that one because when she said that, I can remember, and this is like high school time, during my Jack Rabbit phase. Shout out to the horny teenagers out there. I can remember like 5 chicks, especially one in particular. I was going home, and that's all we did was just go at it. And I remember I was going home, had to be home, and she was just like very consistent on like, hey, come on, we could just do a quickie, blah blah. I'm like, no, 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 I'm good. And cut her off. Like it was a fight, but I cut her off. Went home, and the next day I got a conversation like, hey, a letter, in high school, like, hey, I appreciate you. It showed that you're very mature. It showed this, that, third. So I appreciate you showing that type of character about you. And then even after high school coming up, we're still friends to this day. And a few other people from high school to now, but like, yo, you was always that mature one, or how you carry yourself in certain situations. But for me, I thought I was just like that oddball, or the one that was just like, kind of kept to myself, but then keep to myself, like kind of building my own little circle. So that's how I took it. But I don't know. It's just me, my response to her on that one, because I get really triggered when people speak in certain things absolutes. It's not everybody. Just because you in your little bubble, your world, your class, or your hometown, you always kind of keep seeing the same person doing the different people doing the same dumb things, doesn't mean it's everybody. And I think that's the problem with maybe in that time frame, that person was stuck and seeing the same thing over and over again. So they may thought that's how everybody is. But no, there are guys that has the self-control. There are guys that's mature to say, you know what, this ain't the right time for it. Heck, I seen somewhere, I'm like, man, you're just too easy. I don't want to do it. Y'all thoughts?
Yeah, I would argue that there's just as many women who are the exact same way that she's describing men.
Exactly.
That, I mean, it's not like something, oh, I can't be friends with guys because all guys are this. Well, there's just some people who are like that, some male, some female. It doesn't matter. Then there's some people who are like, hey, you ain't all that, really. I like you as a friend, but, I don't really want in your pants there, lady.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right.
I also like to applaud Can I Get Some podcast because I actually agree with that. So that's what I'm saying also.
Shout out to Can I Get Some podcast? Damon on his end, he said, I applaud her for wanting to branch out, but she is not gaining any real transferable skills. She is trading one hypermasculine, hypersexualized environment for another. I tend to agree. Especially on the scale of Fresh and Fit levels. Like you went like from one little ball of energy of that, then you just went to a whole one just consistently just thrown at you. So yeah. All right, fair enough. Back to the video.
Fun fact.
That's how it is, and a lot of people can't accept that reality. Like you accepted it from a young age.
Yeah.
I think especially women have a hard time with that because there's this bliss about it where it's like, this guy doesn't want any of that. He just wants to be my friend.
It's like, do you really genuinely believe that? Like no man is not gonna be putting their time, effort, or resources into somebody that's not gonna reciprocate anything. It's to try to build rapport to receive something.
Right.
So
100%. It
I
takes a
agree.
lot. I think it takes a lot of accountability to be honest with yourself about that, though.
a lot of people like living in delusion.
That is true. That is true. So okay, so that's one thing.
Disagree.
What are some other things?
Agree.
Mm, let's see.
So you mentioned the cheating. You mentioned that. What about oh, here's a good one. Here's a really good one. Since you're a single mom,
Hmm.
what do you feel about what Byron says about single moms and having a tougher time?
I believe he's accurate because through my own personal, I kind of realized that the dating market's not really the same for me how it used to be. Like I used to have any option I wanted. Now it's more or less I have to work for the options that I have. So it's kind of like the ball's now on my court where if I put in the extra effort, I could have a future with somebody and be stable, or I just be a boss babe. It's whichever lane you want to pick. And it's a very lonely route at the boss babe end. So it's kind of like my main thing was always family. I want family. I want more kids. So it's like just because I fucked up my first round, I get it. I'll take accountability for that. But I want to find somebody suitable so that way I could fit into their program. I'm just trying to make sure I'm needed, not wanted.
Your thoughts?
I think Inky had it when she said that she's a chameleon because she just exposed like three different very different possibilities that she said she could do all three of those. But I think that's where you start to see the facade start to fall apart.
Well, yeah, she's also a liar.
We're agreeing with each other.
I
Yeah.
damn sure wouldn't want to be her friend.
No,
No.
no, she doesn't have friends. I would bet you. I don't mean male friends. She doesn't have friends. But
Yeah, that
you
was
can.
that was a double-edged joke right there.
But you know why? Because here's the thing. So I'm listening to her, and every time someone says something like, "Oh, the world used to be my oyster. I used to have every option in the world." Really? So you had every option in the world, including millionaires and billionaires, but you decided, forget all of that. I'll just dance instead on the pole. Like that's what you decided, right? You had every option available to you, and you said, forget the millionaires. I'd rather spit on a pole for dollars being put in my G-string. Like I don't like that's not genuine, right? So you're just repeating the Fresh and Fit company line, right? Which is you wasted your youth, you wasted your best years, and now you're not getting all those options. Like, no.
Hell yeah.
She's probably getting the same options that she used to get back in the days. It's people who want to
Desperate
use
ones.
her, right? Yeah, exactly. Well, or people who just want to use her, people who want to say, hey, you up at 3 a.m., right? Or people who she really would not be happy with being on their arm, but at least they want her. She probably still has those options. And it's not because of her looks or even because of her age or even because she's been a dancer on the pole, right? It's because she's not healed. Like she hasn't changed anything, right? She's like Can I Get Some just said, she just traded one hustle for another. So what did she heal? What brokenness did she heal? What skills did she develop? Life skills, the ability to communicate, the ability to support, the ability to anything. Like what skills did she develop? And what things did she heal that now she's putting out a different energy so she'd get something back that's different?
She seems really shallow because I would argue at any point that the options she has now are better options than the ones she had before.
Correct.
As far as actually finding, all I really want is just a family and I want to have more kids. Well, you're going to be a hell of a lot better off finding that by taking your kid to the park than you are dancing in a strip club. So I don't think that what you're doing now, you gave up some grand goal of finding all my options are gone. They're not the same as they used to be. Well, yeah, you might not have the guy in the rented Ferrari in Miami throwing, maxing out his credit card, throwing thousands and thousands of dollars at you, but you can probably find a really nice guy that wants to have those kids with you, which is a hell of a lot better option than what you had.
Well, see, I'm glad I said because that was my thought too. It's like because like again, I don't want you to mind, but we'll keep on California West because we both don't like California. But I'll say this because when I hear people say stuff like that, I'm like, well, Miami city-ish. That's again my ignorance outside looking in, like city-ish. The rent is very pricey now. If you're in the strip life, you're making a lot of money, right? Wouldn't it be best like, okay, me and my child, how can it's not me no more, it's like me and my child, so how can I get us out the situation? So let me do everything I can, hustle, I get a plan, a number, at least hustle for a year or two, get all the money, then make sure and like what Ruben said, the education value, then let me relocate somewhere else. Shout out to Georgia, shout out to other parts of Florida, shout out to Alabama, shout out to North Carolina, shout out to Oregon. You got all of the parts of the states. It's like, you know what? Your dollar would go a little bit more further to say, hey, you know what? I can pay rent for a whole year. And then I can sit there for years, 3 months to 6 months, get educated, get some kind of degrees or certificates, and at least make instantly $50K a year or 60. Like, you know what? Now I'm in a position where I'm relocating a whole different state. Nobody don't know who I am. And now everybody looking at me different. And they go like Ruben said, everybody come in with that 100%. Like, oh, who are you? Respect instantly. Oh, you're working as a nurse. You're working as an RN. You're working as this. Okay, cool. You got a mother. Great, no problem. I know this for a guaranteed fact. I can't speak for every state. North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, the upper parts of Florida. They do not care if you have a kid. If you are a good woman and you have a kid and your kid isn't a baby kid, trust and believe. And she looking like she's doing, and I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. She seemed like she's coming with good intentions. That's just me, room for the other dogs here. Trust and believe. There would be guys miles away that would come for a woman like this.
Exactly. Well, and you know what? I'm sorry, but it's only on the internet that I even started hearing. I'm not even kidding. It's only on the internet that I really started hearing to this extent that, like, well, if you're a dancer, you could never get a good man, and a man would never choose you and whatever. Most men would not want you to actively be still, say, escorting, right, or selling actual intercourse with men, or they would not want you to have done videos, right? Because that's something that their family or whoever could find. So when I've heard people have an issue, it tends to be with something like that. But like, you don't really hear women saying, hey, you know what, listen, I was a dancer and now I can't find a man who would accept me. And I was a dancer because I had my kid really, really young and now I can't find a man. You just don't hear it. You don't hear it. You don't see it. It's not really the case. If you're a good woman, like you said, if you're a good woman, right? You did what you had to do. You had a kid, maybe you had a drug issue. I don't know, right? And then now though, you've pulled yourself out of that. You invested, you did whatever. You don't do that. You're taking care of your own. You take care of yourself. You've healed your trauma. So you're not bringing all this trauma and baggage and misery and plopping in his lap and saying, heal me, I'm a pretty woman, right? You're saying like, dude, I'm good now. I'm good. I'm ready to be a wife. Are you ready to be a husband? Most men would be good with that. And I'm not even talking about like just average dudes. I'm talking about like the 6 figures and up earners, right? If you're beautiful, you take care of yourself, you'll take care of him, you're respectable, as in you bring him home, he can bring you home to mama and mama will like you because you know how to hold yourself and have manners. That's and you're a freak in the sheets. That's normally what they're looking for. I don't know where they kept extending it, and now it's like, geez, if you've even had more than 4 sexual partners, that's it. No man worth a damn will ever choose you. Like, what?
And she can walk in heels.
I'm saying, and nothing else. She can walk in heels and nothing else. How many men would not like that?
1 second real quick. Who was it? Shout out to you, Kendra. I think you're new. Appreciate you for coming on through. If you like, definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. So I appreciate you for coming in for the conversation. She says, California, I'm at Silicon Valley. Is it very pricey? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, shout out to
how much does a cup of coffee cost?
Bruh, that's like a whole haircut.
Avocado toast.
Yeah, trigger moment here to the birthday guy. He says, internet people. No, it was a question he asked about something. I know I saw it somewhere. He asked me, did I see the Flash movie? No, I didn't, kind sir. Matter of fact, I was watching the new episode of Twisted Metal that's on Peacock and some other stuff on Netflix. So no, for some reason, I just can't do it with the Flash movie. I just can't. It's trash. I'm sorry. Shout out to
I like this comment.
That's true. Angry. I can too. I can literally line them up in Georgia, Alabama.
Right now.
Pick. All you have to do is take the money that you're making. So clearly she's either making the same or more where she at now in the podcast. Save all the money, take your whole year, find you some places. Hey, I even help you. There's some places for even where I'm at even now, people be flipping out like, yo, your rent is this much? Yeah, I'm in a nice quiet area. It's this much. The neighbors is surprisingly like nice. If you just be walking down the street just to go like a block away to the grocery, hey, I'll give you a ride. No, I'm good. I'm just going to the store around the block. That's it. So it's there. You just got to make them steps. It's not just let me plant still, wear the heels, and yeah. But that's me. All right. Any other thoughts before we move on?
Hi, Kendra.
Kendra says, shout out to Kendra. She says, Silicon Valley is one of the most expensive. Jesus, great. This is for you, Wes, because I'm not gonna be triggered off this one. Most expensive places live in the U.S. Hubs and I just sold one of our homes for $1.5 million. My in-laws bought the same house in 70. Bro.
Can I say something really quick? Because I know I think you might have heard it, but yesterday I did this whole we do this Ebony Excellence segment, we just do news stories, and so yesterday's I did on my mother. I know, but one of the things I brought up was that she bought a house before they even broke ground on the house, and she had rehabbed her credit from nothing. She didn't have $3 to buy gas, and in 5 years she had bought this house before they broke ground. And anyway, she bought the house for under $200,000. And the house right now, so this was in 1997, she bought the house, right? So it's 25 years later. The house right now is worth well over $1 million, right? So it's only 25 years later. It's it's mind-boggling.
I just thought about Texas too. Texas is a good spot for jobs. A lot of people buying up a lot of land. A lot of people building up houses. I got an older brother there. A buddy that was was a guest on here consistently. He's trying to decide where he want to do when he stop serving our country. Either stay in Germany or travel to Texas, buy a house, and be done with it. You know what I'm saying? So the options is there, but it is weird. It's like people in the army would make those kind of decisions. Like, hey, what's the best move for me and my family or myself and relocate? They won't go to the worst situation for self and child. So, yeah. Any other thoughts before we go to the video? And shout out to you, Angry. Yeah, give me a week too, bro. Heck, I'll take her if she can. Whatever she got, whatever issues she got. Really? I'm not saying she got issues. I'm not gonna put that on her. But whatever she got here in her head and her heart, and it's balanced out. And she got hands. I like a chick who got hands, yo. Fight for me.
Are you serious?
The only thing I can think of is why she would be having a hard time getting into another relationship would be that she would just be so picky. She can't be bought, so she's going to pass up. A woman that has real moral value can't be bought out.
Okay.
And so, I mean, she would pass up that $1 million man that she may not be utterly attracted to and do things on her own. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean that's, I mean, some women are shallow enough like that they'd be like, okay, cool, you got $1 million,
True.
I'm down. So you have to look at her moral value, and I actually think that she's trying to portray it pretty well.
So the question is, though, is it moral value, or is it because of the trade-off? And when I say the trade-off, I don't just mean as in, oh, well, the guy's got to cheat and da-da-da. Because like I said, I don't even believe that's true. But okay, for example, I've dated men in, those millionaire tax brackets. And some of the things they required of the women on their arms were just not things I was willing to do. To be dressed in a certain way all the time, to be, coiffed in a certain way all the time, to have to speak and carry yourself in a certain way all the time. For me, I was a jeans and t-shirt kind of girl. It wasn't worth that. I didn't even really like that highfalutin lifestyle. So it wouldn't have been worth it to me to have to conform to all of that, for a couple of vacations a year or whatever. It wasn't something I wanted to do. It's not how I wanted to hold myself or the life I wanted to live. So, is it possible that it's not necessarily she has high moral value, they're just not giving her the correct trade-off?
Well, if the guy was I'm not okay. Well, how do I say this? Okay, so say you have an attraction to Johnny Depp or I don't know, some hot movie star. Okay.
Shout out to
And
Amber Turd. Shout out to Amber Turd. Go ahead.
okay,
Chocolate.
okay.
Morris
Okay,
Chestnut.
so
I love Morris Chestnut.
okay,
Sorry.
say Morris Chestnut, right? Say he's gorgeous and he has all this money, and he's like, okay, all you have to, this is all I'm wanting from you is, just when we go out, just look nice. Would you be okay with those same antics as if he wasn't as good looking? So maybe, she wants the best of both worlds, not just the money portion of it, but she also wants him to fit her physique that she's looking for. Does that make
That's
no,
shallow.
I think it makes
shallow,
sense.
though.
Like,
Yeah, but that's
I
shallow.
agree. Sorry, if I could just say, I agree with you. I think, and that's my point, right? Is that different people hold different things, at high value, right? Some women are really about the body and the face, the looks. They really care about that. Some women are about the money. Some people are about, the moral fiber. What kind of character does he have, or whatever, and they hold that above all else. And that's why I was saying, I'm like, I don't really know her, and I don't know what her standards are, but I'm just saying it might not be moral. It just might not be. She hasn't come across a person who's willing to give her the correct trade-off yet.
Maybe I missed this as well, but could we get a little clarification? How old is this lady?
Good point.
Oh man, I don't want to say 32. I want to say maybe between 27 and 32, and I'm just guessing because she's young.
Well, that's something that we really haven't thought about much when we've had this conversation, is how old she actually is. I mean, it's not that uncommon that at 27 years old, you haven't found Mr. Right. And Mr. Right might not be rich. Mr. Right might be just the norm. You can't control who you actually fall in love with if love is what you're looking for.
Exactly.
You don't fall in love with
Pretty good at
somebody.
finding Mr. Right now.
Well, maybe, but you follow what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Like, you can sit there and go, well, why hasn't? I mean, I'd say all of us have probably dated quite a few people in our past, and you could sit there and go, well, I didn't like this about this one. I didn't like this about this one. Well, this one was rich, but I didn't like. But then you find one that's like, oh wow, I don't care about any of that other stuff. None of that matters. The one thing I like is, her heart and what's in her head, and that's what I'm in love with, and that just solves it all right there. So there is that option too, that maybe she's just a confused 27-year-old.
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right, back to the video.
Does that make sense?
Totally, absolutely.
So being a single mother is like, now that I know all these things and I have my insight, I just have to pick accordingly the right way.
Very accurate. Yeah. But that's one of the hardest things I find for the women on the panel to accept. The older ones, they're like, no, I'm even more attractive as I'm getting older. And they always talk about exceptions. And something that he always mentions, they're always talking about the what if factor. Like, you have to base things off generalities.
Right.
Like, of course, exceptions exist. You shouldn't ignore them. It's not to say that an older woman or a divorced woman or a single mom doesn't deserve love. She doesn't deserve a happy family. It doesn't mean she's less than. It doesn't mean she's less of a person. It does mean that men will have their preferences.
Of course, because at the end of the day, as a man, you don't want to pick up somebody else's slack. Like, you as a dumb bitch, you forgot.
I have to disagree with that again. I got to echo this. A man that finds a chick, even if she got a kid, he's not going to call her a dumb chick. A good dude anyway, with some empathy. He's not going to be like, yo, she's a dumb chick. She made it. She effed up. He's not going to say that. He'll be like, okay, that other guy. What's that old saying? One man or one woman's trash is the other man's person's treasure. That's it.
So one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah. So you have to have that type of attitude about it. Screw everybody else. Move forward with your life. We're good.
It's just like, it's not true.
Yeah,
it's objectively provable that most of these, if you just go through celebrities, like the people we know for sure have that much money, you just go through them and just look at who they date and who they marry. They date and marry single moms all the time. And I don't just mean just celebrities, although they do that too. But even when they pick like random people who are not rich and famous, they pick a lot of people who are single moms. Like, it's just not true that single moms are just damaged goods. The only people who say that are, again, people who are not in the top 1%. They're in the bottom 10%. Yeah. They're the ones who are saying stuff like this more often than not. Just saying.
And to follow up with that, her being a single mom doesn't make her trash. Her being trash makes her trash.
Facts.
Yeah, fair enough.
Why do I have to come out of nowhere and clean your mess? So that's why I kind of like when I like presenting myself, or if I'm like trying to be with somebody, I like to show them that like, hey, look, I fucked up, but I'm not there no more. You know, like I'm a little bit stable now. I'm not incapable of doing things. So there's that.
Just that.
There's that.
Okay. So what's one more thing? I'm not gonna keep you on this for
Go
too long.
ahead. It's fine.
What's one more thing? Maybe a takeaway. Take your time with it. No rush.
I'm trying to think right now. Um, I there's just one thing that always gets to me is his candy store analogy.
Oh.
You know, which is kind of like girls been in the candy store. We already been on the shelf. We know what it's like. Wow, the guys wait till they hit their prime to actually be in there and enjoy the candy. That's why certain guys are just the way they are. Like some of them are just degenerates on how they try to get with women. So, you know, like it's pretty that analogy gets to me every time when he talks about it. Or the other one where it's like with the girl's body count, which is like, do you want a used car or no, not the used car, like the personality. It's basically like, all right, you bought this purse for 5K, but then you heard your friend got it for like 3K or like 2K, and like, you know, you see that the same purse is getting cheaper and cheaper. It makes you not want it no more. So, you know, I kind of take that one, I take it to like heart, because it's like you can't just keep giving your value to everybody and then expect to be treated the same, or you know, have high expectations to being in a wifey predicament.
Do we agree with that statement? Do we have thoughts on that? Because even the candy store one, Inky. Because
Basically, I think what she's trying to say is, you know, she started to use the analogy about like the car being test driven. Like not everybody, you know, like, so say you buy a used car, but it only has 20,000 miles on it. Are you still going to appreciate it if it had 0 miles on it? That type of analogy is what she's getting at. And if you get used up, so she's portraying that she's not
it's almost like
she's not loose. No, it sounds like she's not portraying herself as loose, that she is being reserved, that she's just because she was a dancer, she's being named that way. That's what it sounded like to me, because she's explaining herself as if she hasn't really been used. Just because she was a dancer doesn't mean that just because you give a lap dance doesn't mean that you're having sex with those people. You're just giving a lap dance. So
I'm sorry, I agree with that, but at the same time, like just everything moving forward. So once you left from that lifestyle, wouldn't it be better just to carry yourself as if you're not that no more? You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of hard.
It is? Okay.
Because depending on how long she was doing, it's kind of embedded in you. And that's what I meant by the numbness. You're like, you become numb to men in a sense. And what she's used to is for that instance, like having things bought for her, having vacations paid for her, cars bought for her rent paid for her mortgage paid for her. So when she goes into getting into another relationship, she's going to look for that same kind of value in a man, of being taken care of, because she is trying to hold herself to a certain standard, regardless of her career previously. That would be like giving up $250,000 a year easy and then going to work at McDonald's.
It depends. I don't know. I feel like it depends. Like what Traveling Fool said earlier. It depends on like what, like a piece of your soul, right? What's the trade off for that?
A piece of your soul? I didn't catch that part.
No, I was saying, what's it like? It's kind of like what Traveling Fool said earlier. It's like, if you know you can find, if you leave that and the options is, hey, stay in this lifestyle, but we're going to give you the guy of your quote unquote dreams, that somebody can be reliable to you, never lie on you, never cheat on you, and going to be a good father for your son. But hey, here's a caveat: but you may make more a little bit than that spouse of yours, your mate. Like,
So are you putting a dollar sign on the spouse?
I'm personally not. I think like she kind of is. Maybe sort of kind of.
She may
I'm
be.
back to the fact that she's insecure.
Yeah, I think she's agreeing with Fresh and Fit, and I think she's agreeing with Fresh and Fit. Therefore, I know that she's not valuing herself very high, because they would say that every second she spent on every revolution around the pole was taking a mile off of her, value in the sexual marketplace. So if that's the case, and she's siding with them, and that's what she's trying to do, she said a lot of times she'll say what they're saying is right, or she's trying to use their analogies and basically agree with them.
She went from being that big jawbreaker to that little Jolly Rancher down there in the bottom.
So
In
is
the
she trying
candy
to
store.
say, so is she saying that Fresh and Fit is, can someone please explain to me just in a really brief, what is Fresh and Fit? Because I guess I'm not understanding.
Yeah, let Ruby go ahead.
Okay, so Fresh and Fit, it's a podcast. Okay, they do some podcasts during the day that nobody watches. That's men's health and fitness and improvement. The thing that people watch, and that this woman was a part of, was the nighttime show, and it's Fresh and Fit, and then they get a whole bunch of girls around what looks kind of like a pool table, but is like a kind of a long oval table, and they basically set the women up by giving them a whole bunch of alcohol first, so that way they're nice and reactive and emotional, right? And they
also don't pick the best examples of women
in general. Yeah, no, they find women that they know are going to be bad examples, as far as just even being able to hold your composure or something, right?
But why would she let them dictate what she is and her perception of herself? Like, she is trying to explain her perception, but yet goes back and uses the analogies of them. So that doesn't, to me, that doesn't make sense. And that's where I would agree. She's not secure with her own perception of herself.
Because when she went on to the show, this happens to a lot of these women. Well, not a lot, but some, right? They go onto the show. Exactly. And they temporarily get a boost of 70,000, 100,000 clicks, likes, views on their OnlyFans or whatever. And so they then want to go back onto Fresh and Fit. So, because even though it's a lot of hating them and setting them up to make them look like fools and highlight reels and whatever, they get a lot of clicks, likes, views, and therefore money temporarily. And so there's a lot of money in turning around and saying, I was wrong when I came on there the first few times. And, Myron and Fresh, well, they taught me, and I get it now. I can be reformed, and they're so right about me. They're so right. Sex workers, this and that. Yeah, we are trash now. We did throw away our value and whatever. There's money in it. So in essence, she just swapped one hustle for another. So that's why, me and Can I Get Some Podcasts were saying that earlier, because it's basically the same thing. She came out of one where it's like men are dictating your value. You have to be hypersexualized. You have to allow men to kind of basically treat you how they want, but you get the buck at the end of the day. And she just swapped one way of doing that for another way of doing that, sadly.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I would never let anyone dictate my moral value or what my standards are, period. So for her to do that, she may be doing that for the clicks and views. I don't think, but because she keeps re-explaining like this is what she's wanting, so it's kind of contradicting what she's saying. You know what I mean? So she's kind of contradicting herself. So what she's really saying is that she really has these standards, but this is the perspective that they've put on me, a way for me to look at myself, which is not right. That's gaslighting.
And let me add this, it may add some value, may not, because I know most people see a woman be like, oh, she don't know nothing, but this is a married woman, in there, and she's agreeing to, can I get some podcasts? A married man, years on his belt too. So let that sink in for most people out there. All right. So some people that's actually on that spectrum of, we have what society has, and what we're doing is another type of norm outside what I guess she feels is the norm, whatever in reality that Fresh and Fit present to her. But we're going to get to, not even final thoughts, because Inky, we said we're going to come back to Inky with the 95%. So we're going to have that conversation, and we're going to close out with final thoughts. So Inky, if you don't mind, because you was taking a lot of notes about that 95%, and I think I was scratching my head. Ruben was like, Traveling Fool's like, yeah, we need to come back to that. So we're coming back
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, being that I don't know who's watching this show, I'm not giving up too much information. But what I can say is, from the history that I know,
Well, can you
95
elaborate? Can you just elaborate a little bit? Then we can, and then go ahead because I'm a little
from
bit lost. Yeah.
from the history that I know and the women that I know, at least 95%, they're not insecure at all. It's a financial thing and it's a financial gain for them. I mean, if you could imagine putting down that moral job that people say is moral, and I think I've had this conversation with you before. To me, it's really no different than me marrying a gentleman that's a gyno doctor, except for I'm not. You know what I mean? How do I say it with it being like PG rated? So I wouldn't want to marry a gyno doctor because then he's all up in other women all day. That would make me feel insecure as a woman. It would, regardless of the money he made. So it's same thing. I wouldn't want to marry an entertainer just because it would probably make me insecure as a male. But the majority of these women, they really do. I guess it depends on their area too. I don't know what Miami's like. I've never been there. I'm from the West Coast. And I know women all the way from Dallas to Chicago, all the way west. And these women portray themselves in a very ladylike manner. And there is a couple that have picked the very wealthy men that has one foot in the grave and they've made out like bandits. But then again, that shows me what kind of woman they are. They're a money hungry gold digger. And that probably offends a lot of people, but that's just my opinion. I would rather marry for love and be the breadwinner if I had to be.
Fair enough.
Okay. I think this is an issue for me, at least, with this whole 95%. The problem is are there some sex workers, especially if you're including OnlyFans and the like, right? Are there...
Sex workers are different than entertainers.
Well, see, to you they are, but they're all part of the sex trade, so they're all sex workers.
They're like, to me, they are like kind of like all woven together now.
Yeah, and like, because there's a difference between, say, being a go-go dancer where you're dancing in a cage but with your clothes on, right? And then there's a lot of states where when you dance, you're dancing, but you either have to have, a bra and panties on, or you have to have the panties on still, right? I'm in Canada where strippers take off everything, so on stage, not even just like in private. It's like, no, they take off everything on stage. It's required. So it depends on.
That's opposite.
Yeah, it's required. There are no topless only clubs or whatever.
Canadian
$5 for the top, $5 for the bottom. Let's go, guys.
It all comes off. It's Canadian.
Yeah, they'd have to be paying a lot to get any clothes off.
Well, see, the whole thing is, right, is that if you're in a place where it's legal to take off bottoms and tops, right, then that means all the clubs are having that, and you're competing for stage time with other dancers. So if all the other dancers are willing to take off everything and you're not getting the spot, let alone being part of the rotation where you're actually on the schedule where you can at least guarantee, sure, you have to pay your stage fees and stuff, but at least you can guarantee you're going to get paid, right? Because you're going to get on that stage, you're going to get that attention, you're going to be able to whatever, right? Not everyone gets on that. So, but the point is that despite all of this, right, I think it's important to note that, again, being insecure, right, the majority of people, like even people who get into the industry, right, even if you want to say the dancer / entertainment industry, the majority of people who get into dancing specifically, right? The majority. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some who get into it because they're like, yo, this looks like fun. Or they went out for an amateur night and they said, yo, this is for me or whatever. I'm not saying, or people who get into porn or the rest of the sex trade because they really, really like it, right? But a lot of people, first of all, when you listen to their stories, and they really, really like it, but if you listen to their stories and insecurity was built somewhere in their childhood and their early life that led them to this place where, hey, you know what, this feels good. I like this validation. I like this power. I like this attention. So it's still coming from a place of insecurity. Or again, food insecurity, sure. Sorry. Financial insecurity, absolutely. But there's other types of insecurity. And, the person each individual woman, they're not a monolith, right? So what built them into the place that they are, where they're, on that pole, or they're doing whatever, they're not a monolith. It's going to be different. But I'm going to say that the very large majority of women are not getting into the sex trade in general because they want to. The large majority are not getting into it because they want to. They're getting into it out of desperation, out of fear, because they have to. The majority, right? And then a lot of them, sadly, they hate themselves, or they hate doing it so much. That's how they get caught up in the drugs to begin with. It's not because they went in to dancing or whatever on drugs. It's because it made them feel so dirty or cheap or whatever it is. And it brought so many things up to the surface that, they went and jumped on the drugs to just try to quell this, right? One of the girls said, hey, take a pump of this, do this, whatever, it'll make you feel better. So you can get out there and do what you need to do, because you got to make this money for your kid. You got to make this money to help your mom. You got to make this money to whatever. And I think, that's the majority. Right now, would I say 95% it's the majority? No, but I think it's the very large majority. And there are a small amount of women, maybe 20% or so, who get into the sex trade because they enjoy it, thoroughly enjoy it. And that's what they want to do. And if you gave them another option, they don't want to do the other option because they like this.
Traveling, what say you, sir? Because you didn't pretty much was 95% question mark.
No, I was just curious to see what she was going to say. Really, I mean, I didn't have like an argument really to come with it or anything. I just was curious what Inky was going to say about it.
Yeah, I was curious too. What about you, Wes? You good with that?
With the 95%?
Yeah, or what Ruby stated earlier.
I'm still wrapping my head around it. So you said 95%. Just say it again, please.
Inky.
Okay, so being that I am very familiar with women in that industry, I can give you firsthand knowledge of women from that industry and how they look at themselves. And there's a handful that go down that dark alley, but the majority of them invest their money. They are very well off by the time they're 30. They do not require a man to provide for them, so their standards are higher. So those women, I don't know what perspective you men and ladies see from the outside.
So their standards are higher?
Yes.
What does that have to do with insecurity?
So, okay. So from the perspective that I can give you, mm-hmm. I can give you from like almost a guaranteed perspective from my knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Well, Inky, may I ask you, I would assume, just because you're, well spoken and things like that, that more than likely okay, we have to be honest, there's different ranges of clubs.
Correct.
And the majority are not so great. And then you have the top tier ones, which, every girl in there is,
thriving to get at is the gentlemen's clubs. Correct.
Exactly. But the majority of those clubs are not top tier. The majority are, they're not that great.
It also depends on the location. So you have like scores in Maryland. You have scores in Vegas. Those are more top tier clubs versus, even Crazy Horse was like a mediocre tier versus men's club.
Right. I mean, I would guarantee this girl we are speaking of in the thing, I'm sure she was working at 11 in Miami.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Well, he's saying like a top the one.
No, it's the name of it. It's the actual name of it. Like that's just where I would expect that she probably was, because she is.
So, with that being said, you notice the difference between her and Cardi B?
Oh yeah, Cardi B was a hustler. Like she had a plan, she got what she wanted, and she's a whole nother tier.
She's also incredibly insecure and self-hating. But sorry, continue.
Yeah. But I think but go ahead. Yeah.
So my question to you, Inky, was, I'm sure the people you knew were probably more on the upper tier level as opposed to working at, the truckers welcome, sweatpants encouraged, hot showers, type of place. That would be my guess.
Wait, can
So,
you repeat that?
to generalize is, it's hard to say,
But yeah, because I think it's levels to it. Like even down.
Yeah,
to
well,
the,
correct.
ahead.
You do have your lower levels where it's more trashy, and then you have your medium middle tier where, it's in between, and then you have your gentlemen's clubs where it's $900 for an hour of hanging out, BSing, having dinner, and opening up a bottle of champagne, and you don't even take your clothes off. So
Right,
there is levels to it. You are correct.
And I would assume the higher level people probably don't have the same insecurities as the
correct
lower level people.
I can't say I've ever dealt with the lower level.
That's what I'm saying. That was my point, being that was, when we generalize them all, you have, you know what I mean? Like, you can't put them all in the same book. Like, if you're dealing with the higher level people, I have trouble believing that 95% of all strippers feel the same way as the 5% of elite club people do.
Well, yeah. I mean, I agree with you that 95% of the 5% that are in that super high level
Yes.
aren't insecure, but I would really have to say it's about 5% of just the dancing industry alone that's at that high affluent level where you're not having to take your clothes off and whatever. That is not the majority of the industry.
But we all agreeing that go ahead, Wes, but we're all agreeing that it's insecurity there between even her or Cardi B, based on what we heard thus far.
Massive insecurities. And I'm going to go with if we're looking at the total industry there, I'm going to go with the classic Pareto distribution. Say 80% do not do well afterwards, do not know how to recover, and 20% probably do okay.
And I have to agree with that because of, when the vid came around, a lot of those girls became unemployed and very lost. And they ended up getting into the Friends OnlyFans thing.
And I think that's worse almost.
I think it is because now they are subjecting themselves even more to the public than they were before. They're not as protected.
And now they're in 4K instead of like some smoky lounge with dark lighting that you can't hardly see. Now
the internet's forever too. So
yeah, with a 6 foot no touchy zone. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, and I would like to just add this one, just because it's my field, the whole psychology field. There's a very big difference again between like what we know, right, versus like what we think. And I think a big deal has to do with a lot of people in the sex industry. A lot of them, they have a lot of armor, right? As in, I mean, like they have their walls and whatever, and they have their narratives that they told themselves, they tell each other and whatever. I mean, I see it a lot in the Black community just in general, right? It's a bunch of walls people have up, a lot of false bravado people have up to hide the soft, mushy soul interiorly that's brokenhearted and is broken. You would never guess. And I think a lot of times, we take everyone at face value, and we shouldn't. If anything, like being in my industry, the one thing that it's taught me is that you can't really take people at face value, because just because someone puts on a good front or puts on a good show about what's going on internally, even if you are asking them directly about something, it doesn't mean that it's true at all. I mean, watch like that Iyanla Fix My Life show. The amount of times people come in and very confidently tell you about themselves, and by the end of the show, you see, no, they were actually really broken and really hurt and really vulnerable and really whatever. They had just put up walls, right? And they came off as confident. They came off as together. They came off as all these things. But the truth is, they didn't have any of that. It was just all false. So,
all right,
I had to
fair
say
enough.
that.
Final thoughts of the whole conversation between Also Icy and Soothing Semantics. I dropped the link below, so if y'all want to watch the full rest of the conversation for more context, you're more than welcome to do so. I thought it was a very interesting conversation just on the aspect of stripper changing careers thus far. That part. So with that being said,
you don't get it. I built this place. Down here, I make the rules.
Oh, what is that? What is that clip from?
Avenging. That's very avenging. You know what? If you haven't seen Matrix, I can't explain that. That's a whole nother conversation.
It looks so familiar, but I'm like, I can't figure out what it's from.
He played a lot of other movies, but in this movie, he trapped Neo, the one, in a space between the Matrix where he couldn't get out. Neo could do whatever he wanted to do, but when he got him in that train track, is it done? So,
okay.
So we are, shout out to Andrew Tate, the top G. We're in the Matrix right now. We're in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
So final thoughts of the whole conversation, large. Wes, would like to go first, good sir?
Don't fall victim to these chameleons. Be very careful, but also be very kind. Mostly be kind to yourself. No one is broken. Nobody is garbage. It's just a perception of herself that we need to clarify a little. And once you learn how to make a loving decision for yourself, that's when that will actually start going outward. But that's all I got.
All right, fair enough. Ruby, your thoughts? And happy birthday again, Ruby.
And I know, actually, it's not yet. It is not for you because you're nowhere near 12, but for me, it's in 27 minutes.
The early bird do.
Thank you. And I thank you all, first of all, for coming together on this panel and allowing me to be the baby of the show so I could feel young on my birthday. Thank you for that. Beyond anything else, I'm most appreciative of that gift. So thank you, Great Bill, for that. Secondly, I just wanted to say, and it's just important to note here that I actually have 600 tabs open because I have to prove Inky wrong. No, I'm kidding. But I did want to prove those.
Her tabs versus her one notebook. Let's go.
Right? No, but like, dude,
Inky's a little too old school for you.
Dude, this is how secure, respectable women disagree without disrespecting each other, right? Listen, we have disagreed with each other. We've agreed with each other a lot in a lot of other shows, but we disagreed here, right? And it wasn't about attacking her or attacking whatever. It's just, no, I disagree. Here's why I disagree. And she did the same thing. Let's show each other.
And I think the only reason I do disagree is because of the women that I've dealt with. And you're right. He totally schooled me on that one. I'm not used to being around women of smaller clubs. So when you're around women that are going to college and, investing their money and buying homes when they're 21, you're like, holy piddle squat. Like, I mean, it's a beautiful sense. Like you can feel that from them. Like they are radiating their secureness. And I mean, I watched one girl, and I did mention her earlier. I watched one girl and she was dating a dentist and he was hot. And she told him, she goes, I'm going to go marry this guy. He has cancer. The guy knew it. Her man knew it. And they agreed to separate. She married him. He passed away in 6 months. She inherited all the money.
Wow.
And then they got back
wild.
together and, and went about their life. And to this day, she's got to be in her 60s. To this day, she's still a dancer in Vegas now. And it's not even a dancer entertainer. She's an entertainer with all the feathers, like showgirl entertainer. Like she stepped up.
Okay, you have some skill.
Because she missed the dancing part. She didn't miss the taking off the clothes part. You know what I mean? So, but she did. And then there was other women that went to college and became nurses and doctors, and they would still do it on the side on the weekends because they missed it. So, I mean, I've seen a little bit of everything.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I have seen, I mean, you've heard me tell stories. I've seen definitely, the girl, she basically invented the whole webcamming space, and it's porn. But hey, she bought a lot of things. She built a very beautiful, very, very multi-million-dollar nest egg for herself and her daughter by blowing her boyfriend. In essence, people didn't know that. He was very well hung. but people have heard of it. iDeepthroat.com. They've heard of it because it's a real thing. And I knew her, right? I've been inside of her house that was purchased by webcamming back when webcamming was new. So, I mean, I would not say, well, if you do sex work, then that's going to make you an insecure person. I wouldn't say that, nor would I say only insecure people are found in sex work, right? Definitely would not say that. And that's why I said, no, there's absolutely people who do it because they want to, right? There are people who do it and they never want to leave. Like, that's how they want to live, like, forever. And Adam 22 and his wife, they like it. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
It's a whole other thing. But no,
I'm agree with
right?
you. But at the outside looking in, because we're talking about the stripper lifestyle, she jumped her career, and then now she's like, hey, I want a relationship, I want more children, but now it's for the other guy to vet her properly. I get her point, like, hey, I need to be a little bit more differently, but did she really get more? And I'm just asking in general, did she really get more changed or evolved or move forward with her life? Like shout out to Dame, I Can Do Better podcast. Like, hey, she only just traded one hustle for another, but you're still stuck in that same realm, that same bubble. But only difference is you had the keys to the driver's seat on the first one, but now you got somebody steering you in a direction. So what happens? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't agree with I don't agree with her change. Not in that sense.
Right.
Because now she no longer has control. And I agree with Plaid Pill, you have to take down that facade. You have to know that person, like he said, because they are veiled. And that's what I meant by not jaded, but they are very superficial.
Fair enough.
And that's what was literally my point. This woman is not an example at all of the functional sex worker. Okay. She's just not. It's like she radiates, and that's the thing. She doesn't realize, and that's why it's easy for her to believe what F and F are telling her, because she doesn't know that her internal brokenness is attracting brokenness, right? She doesn't know that if she heals, right, that she's going to attract something different. She literally doesn't. She doesn't know it, and so it's very easy for her to believe, oh well, I guess I'm just going to keep attracting brokenness, and well, whatever crumbs someone's willing to throw me out, yeah, I guess I should have to accept that then because I've worked in the sex industry. Like, that's not true. Like, it's just categorically not true, and that's why I think I've been going so hard about this one, because I'm like, it's just such bullshit. And if she could just heal, like if she could just do the work on herself, pull herself out of do the work on herself, she's gorgeous, right? She looks really run down, like sad, like she looks down. But if she did the work on herself and she radiated happiness and joy and togetherness, for her, she's so gorgeous. She could get any man she wants. She just needs to fix that internal pain, and she needs to stop listening to bullshit who's telling her she ain't worth a damn because she did some dancing on a pole. Like, that's not true.
Like Ruby, the way you notice that, like, she's always looking down. She's always feeling like has to explain herself to everybody else.
Exactly.
And that's sad.
She needs validation.
Yes.
And I guess that kind of, like, if I could give my final thoughts while I'm thinking about it, I think she's probably a decent person and is not a bad person. And she's obviously very beautiful. Probably has a very lovely kid. I would probably say the kid's kind of a brat maybe, and she might, like, I could see that one coming, like maybe it's not the best behaved child, or just because of the self-centered kind of nature she has. But I mean, I would think that she's basically, when we've actually thought about how old she was and stuff like that, that she's probably, in her, late 20s? Isn't that about what we all figured, guessed?
Late 20s, early 30s.
And I'm just glad I didn't grow up and go through those age where social media and public acceptance and all those kind of things created who you were. When we grew up, nobody gave a damn about any of that kind of stuff. If this guy over here didn't like you, you didn't wave at him when you drove by or whatever. You know what I mean? You didn't have to deal with any of that nonsense. And now it's everywhere. And all they're doing is going, click, did I get another like? Did I get another like? Did I get it? And the same thing, did I get another dollar? Did I get another dollar? Did I get another dollar? And that's the whole world that she has put herself in for the past 7 years. And she has to, and now she's in this new industry to where it's the same thing. She's seeing her social media blow up instead of her, so she's just stuck in this stupid revolving door of depression. I would think that's exactly. I mean, that's how it has to be. So I wish her the best of luck, and that's about all I can say about that.
Fair enough. Wes, final thoughts, good sir.
I thought I already gave my final thoughts.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
I apologize.
Be loving and kind to yourself. Learn how to make loving decisions for yourself. And that's going to move outward.
Shout out to Can I Do Better? I think that's perfect. If that's pretty much, me and Anger was on this most of the time. She left. I guess he said Miami. If she left Miami, she would be married in less than because honestly, can I get some? I think her value will even go up, way up, far as the attraction level and the options. But at the same time, you still got to have some, like I said, that head and heart balance. A lot of guys, when she get that fixed out, or if it is, because again, I don't know her, but from what I'm saying, if it's balanced and that type of guy come across her, the sky's the limit. He will pour into her that she would not even know.
And let me defend Miami for just one moment. Miami isn't just South Beach and strip clubs. I mean, there is like a whole lot of other world that surrounds Miami. And you go down to the Keys, that's right there below I mean, the whole area. She needs to get out of that lifestyle that she's stuck in. It's not where she lives. She could end up going to Atlanta and think, oh, you're going to move to Marietta and she'll be working at Boomers, or whatever. She'll end up there.
It's got its own world too. Yeah, you're right.
You'll end up somewhere else. You have to change your lifestyle. I remember years ago, I was having problems and I was like, well, I'm going to go here. My mom told me, she was like, when you move somewhere, you take your problems with you.
Yes.
Fix your problems first and then go where you want to go. But don't, because you're trying to change your life or do whatever. So she needs to do that first. Fix her life. That would be my advice to her if I ever met her. But, I don't have that much money. So
I have to agree. I would tell her she's listening to the wrong people. She needs to think of herself. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. We need to go get her Azria the Amazon, because the power, I mean, okay, she might have a tiny bit of man hate in her, but generally the power.
I think it's starting to the right people, though. I think it's starting to the right people.
She's one of the right people. No, that's what she needs. Icy needs someone like Azria to be like, hey, listen, I did all that stuff they're telling you. I did that, and I did that before. I just got into this industry. Empower yourself, love yourself, whatever. But she needs to get that.
She was the guest last time that was on here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Inky, that would be
Amazon, so I was a little confused.
She's from Canada.
That would be a great idea, Inky. I saw what you put in the thing where you could get a whole lot of women, but it would make a really great show if you got like, say 4 women or 3 women from there, and then like 3 women from like the Claremont Lounge in Atlanta or something, which is like the worst. Like if you went like top to worst and put them all together, that would be a really interesting conversation.
That would be.
Yeah. Looks like she needs some good female influences. I don't know why you try to introduce a Canadian to her.
You know what?
I was waiting for that all day, Wes.
I thought he was just being nice for like a birthday present. I guess not. Okay, never mind.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, definitely happy birthday to you.
Sorry, I was listening. You were saying happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday to Ruby.
Thank you.
I'm going to drop everyone down. We get this ball ending. Appreciate everybody for definitely come on through for the conversation. Again, Traveling Death, appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man, anytime, brother.
Yeah, me personally, same thing with Dio. Saints was on. We had a great discussion back and forth. I don't think we agreed on everything, but like Ruby and Inky said, it was a conversation to agree to disagree, and we're cool with that. And I feel like personally, you're doing me a favor. So anytime you need me on a board, man, for what you have, if you don't mind, if you want to go ahead and self-plug your channel and what it's about, and we'd be more than happy to. Let me bring up Inky too, because she got to plug that in, because I want to make sure her messages get out there. So if you don't mind, sir, tell me about your channel and let everybody know what you do over there.
No, we just have it's basically a travel and fun channel. We post travel videos, my wife and I do, and sometimes we go live, discuss topics, stuff like that, do trivia nights sometimes. It's just basically a fun YouTube channel. I think it's Traveling Fools 2020 is the @ but you can type in Traveling Fools. We'll come up, or Traveling Fools. You can type that into Twitter as well, and we'll come up there as well. So if anybody wants to find us, those are the two places it would be best to do. Just type in Traveling Fools, and you will find us, I guarantee.
Yeah, they got a lot of brain teasers. I ain't gonna lie. I'll be like, let me go back to GPT chat.
You like that trivia. You like that trivia.
It is very interesting. I like everything going on there. It's very, very
That's
fun.
a lot of fun.
Trivia is
But yeah,
fun.
yeah, we'll
It
come
is.
over and play. We play every Sunday night at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Trivia every Sunday night. It's a lot of fun.
I did. I subbed to you, so I
Well,
definitely will
cool.
be stopping by.
Yeah, come in. It's a good crowd. A lot of fun people. A lot of smart people. A lot of really intelligent people.
Well, I'm really
Surprising.
smart. I want to sub. Can
Yeah,
someone
well, come
post
play.
their channel
Yeah,
somewhere?
Traveling Fools. I will find this link and definitely put it in there below. Also, what I was gonna say. We have to make time for next time. Go around, make time for Vixen. So I'll work out her schedule because I really want to do like a kind of like a second segment, like a sex expectations type of conversation about just relationships on that end. So like have balance, like men and women come up and just open up where that type of conversation to give more.
It'd be fun, man.
Yeah. So we're
Just let me
working
know.
out.
I'll get you in touch with her. You got my number. You get it with me
Yeah.
anytime you want, man. Just don't like message me on these social media things. I'm not a nerd. Just text me.
Okay, I got you. I definitely got you. Inky.
All right. Well, ladies, it was a pleasure to meet both of you and fun talking back and forth. I'm glad that was a
Likewise.
respectable, fun conversation. I really love it. And Ruby, once again, happy birthday.
Thank
Gray
you.
Pill. We'll see you later, my friend. Just holler anytime, buddy.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, man. Oh, sorry. Cut it back off.
I said, y'all have a great night. See you later.
You too.
Thank you. Inky, do you want to go ahead and promote your great cause? So again,
Yes.
anything that comes to the Great Pill Podcast as far as Cash Apps or Venmo, all that good stuff, we'll be going straight donated to Inky. So there you go. Go ahead, Inky.
Thank you very much. So I have a nonprofit. It's called Tainted Inc. And with that being said, my organization, what we do is we provide housing and resources for those that have been in domestic violence situations, whether they're male, female. So it's men, women, and children, families that have pets. At one point, I had been in a situation that wasn't an option, and I lost some animals due to domestic violence. So I wanted to make a point that we need more of this in our country for others that are in a position where they cannot get the help they need and they don't have to lose any animals in the process. So our organization is working on having the funding with government resources for building homes that will let you have your therapy pet or just your pet in general with you at your new residence, so you can start a new life and build from there, get therapy, counseling, and all the resources that you need to get away from a situation that you were cut off from when you're cut off from the real world, which can be very devastating. Very devastating.
All right.
So
fair
I
enough.
appreciate you all. And Great Pill, we need to touch base. I'm going to send you an email with my information and my phone number so we can touch base and whatnot.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate that because I definitely want to promote that. Again, back to the birthday girl. Happy birthday. Dropping. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody for coming on through. Again, if you're new, definitely hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it was a few new people in here, so I hope you subscribed. I hope you hit the thumbs up. People on the replay, let us know. What is the type of woman that you want to be? What a type of woman the men feel like they want and deserve in relationships like that? Again, my blessing go out to also Icy on her venture and whatever it works out for her. I wish no ill intent for her. I actually thought it was a great conversation, the interview between smooth semantics between them two. But it kind of comes down to the question of what type of woman are you? What do you have boundaries for yourself when it comes to the current relationship today? Do you, and it's just not me, extra, just acts in general. Do you validate yourself to the point of do you respect yourself? are you a follower, not a leader? And what I mean by this is, yes, you can have a man lead you, but at the same time, can you lead yourself? Like, hey, I have boundaries for myself. This is what I want. I have a child to think about. Did we actually shift to taking one hustle into a new hustle? Is that what we do? Because I think we gave like great options out to Angry, myself, and I think Can Do Better podcaster. We said like, hey, look at this. You can make a plan for yourself. Isn't that what we say about the men too? Everybody needs a plan. So if you're in a dire situation, but you're making all this crazy money, but guess what? What they say? More money, more problems. Save the money. You got a child, build up, relocate somewhere else. You literally can rebrand yourself, right? You can reform or reinvent yourself, but you still got the same name. You still have the past, but you can move forward with your past. Any guy, the states and towns that we mentioned, a lot of guys will take you as a single mother. I'm like, hey, if she's a good woman, she's respectable, our goals and personalities align with one another, trust me, thousands of men would just run and flock at you. And this is me giving my advice to also Icy. Don't put all your eggs in a basket in one thing. If you're enjoying your piece, never going to knock that. Do you, but understand what's the trade-off for it. All right. So there we go. Appreciate everybody for coming on through. So thank y'all very, very much. Who was that in the chat? I don't want to miss nobody. Was it Interstate? Appreciate you, Interstate, for coming on through, man. Appreciate you. Catch y'all later.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.